your home for Kings talk and so much more.
Live and local.
Allen Stiles on Sacktown Sports.
Yes. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports, taking you up to 2 p.m. We have a fully loaded show for you today. It is the return of Brett Siegel now that the Jonathan Kuminga saga is over. For now, we are going to be joined by Brett Siegel to break down who won this standoff between Jonathan Kuminga and the Golden State Warriors and what happens next. Okay, we know his salary now is in the mid-20s, somewhere around there. So we have a way too early list for players that might be in the same salary range as him that the Warriors might be interested in, some from the Kings, some not from the Kings. And I can't believe it's over, man. So this is what, and people get on Shams because of all the quote tweets. So this is what he had to say and the spin that he likes to put on it. Breaking. Ending a summer-long stalemate, Jonathan Kuminga has agreed to a 2-year, $48.5 million contract to return to the Golden State Warriors. Agent Aaron Turner told ESPN the deal has a team option. This was the kicker to me. A team option designed for the contract to be ripped up and renegotiated next summer. That sounds like a handshake agreement. Since when have you ever... A team option means that the team has control. If there's a team that is interested, and everybody keeps saying Trey Murphy, I don't see how the Warriors are going to get Trey Murphy unless they give the Pelicans a little bit more than just Jonathan Kuminga. But if Jonathan Kuminga gets to the Pelicans, can't stand the Pelicans, they don't give a you-know-what about the intention to rip up a contract if they want to keep Jonathan Kuminga and trade his butt again. So there was the spin. Shams continues to write, through negotiations between Mike Dunleavy Jr. and Turner from July to September, Golden State ultimately increased his offer by $8 million in the 2-year framework and guaranteed Kuminga approximately $15 million more than his qualifying offer would have for the season. This is when it becomes very clear that Shams... Remember back in the day, Woj was the team guy more so, and Shams is the agent guy. This is all agent spin. Okay, and I don't necessarily think there are a lot of Warriors fans saying, you said you were going to take the qualifying offer, you didn't stand on business. And I don't know how much it is that the Kuminga camp lost to the Warriors. I don't think you can make this type of money and lose, but this is clearly spin by Shams. And the last thing he had to say, Kuminga chose his 2-year deal over 3 years and $75 million so he can maintain a higher level of control over his immediate future. The Warriors never wavered on team option frameworks. Now both sides understand likelihood of exploring trades when Kuminga is eligible in January. So Brett Siegel is going to join us, and I just want a little bit of confirmation that they can send Kuminga anywhere. He had the no trade clause with the qualifying offer. I do not believe he can control anything. They're kind of operating off of goodwill. But I want to confirm that with Brett Siegel, who's going to join us at 11 o'clock. We are also going to make sure that you guys get the first edition of this season's Chrissy's Cuts coming from training camp, day 1 of training camp. Yesterday, we have a replay of the Keon Ellis interview. If you missed that, that's coming up at 12 o'clock, where Keon does talk about the fact that the Kings picked up his option and how he was kind of hoping that a deal would have just gotten done, or he would have come to an agreement before hitting restricted free agency. Now there's a chance he hits unrestricted free agency at the end of the season. We also have the DeMar DeRozan interview at 1 o'clock, and we have a little bit more sound from DeMar as he calls last season a bleep show. I also want to get into some NFL at the end of the show, because this Shedeur Sanders thing, very, very polarizing, as it has been this whole time. But the idea that Shedeur, and if you hadn't heard, Shedeur turned down calls from the Eagles and calls from the Ravens during the draft, right? Hey, do you want to come be a backup? And get your feet wet, things like that. Shedeur turned him down for the Browns. There were people saying, if you're really about that life, why would you turn down? There were a couple different versions of this. Why would you turn down backing up Lamar, being a part of a successful organization? They're 1-3 now, by the way. Why would you turn down backing up Jalen Hurts? That's a Super Bowl winning franchise. The brother's trying to play. And Dion said it best. He was getting interviewed on the New Heights podcast. He said, I've never finished a game on the bench. Said, man, I learned so much, right? And this whole thing gets a little bit overblown. I think the main thing for me when you're saying no is that Shedeur doesn't play like Lamar and does not play like Jalen Hurts to begin with, right? Then on top of that, these dudes are the franchise. You wake up this morning, Joe Flacco got 5 kids and he's 57 years old. He's done. He's done for now. So you know that meme with the Grim Reaper going through every single door? So now Joe Flacco's done. We're going to see what Dylan Gabriel can do. A lot of people are excited about him. He's a lefty, so shout out lefties. But if he doesn't play well, guess what? That's another QB down. Now Shedeur is going to get an opportunity. The fact that people, and this is how I know that people just react a certain way when they don't like how someone carries himself, how someone acts. You just don't like that person. You don't like that person. A lot of people don't like Ryan Clark, right? So it doesn't matter what Ryan Clark says because people don't like Ryan Clark. That whole thing when he went back and forth with Peter Schrager, people just don't like Ryan Clark right now. So he could say the same thing. You have 5 different people say the same thing, and people are just not going to like it because it's from Ryan Clark. People think that Shedeur needs to kind of kiss the rings, if you will. I still haven't seen him, but I want to go see it. People think that Shedeur needs to be humbled a little bit. He's got the NIL money, all this stuff. He's got the rap song that they're playing, all this stuff. So it's a bad idea for Shedeur to go to the Browns where you know that they're always terrible in quarterback play, and all he's got to do is beat out a 57-year-old Joe Flacco and Dylan Gabriel. That's all he's got to do. But somehow that was the wrong decision. So Dylan Gabriel will get the start. Maybe he can't beat out Dylan Gabriel, and Dylan Gabriel is just that dude. But he's got a better chance there than going to back up. And people were saying, oh, my goodness, well, Lamar's going to be out for a couple weeks. Okay, so he's a placeholder. I'd rather wait a couple more weeks and get a real chance to start. So I've been waiting to see, because this whole thing came out about the turning down the Ravens. This was while I was on paternity leave. And it's still going on because Shedeur is just a really polarizing figure. And this is maybe why the Browns took him, because everybody is talking about the Browns, even though they stink. They absolutely stink. Another thing, and I don't know if he's got a no-trade clause, with Nick Bosa going down, why does nobody talk about Myles Garrett? Everybody always talks about all these other pass rushers. Go get Max Crosby and don't even think about it. Go get Max Crosby. Go get Trey Hendrickson. Why does Myles Garrett not exist? Nobody talks about Myles Garrett going to the Niners or going anywhere. He's just stuck, and I know he's getting paid a lot of money. He's just stuck in the Cleveland oblivion dog pound forever.
Well, he just signed a $160 million contract, so he chose this.
But I'm saying nobody wants to pay him that money on their team because he just doesn't get brought up.
Well, remember, he tried to do the trade request thing, and
yes,
he's like,
did.
I will never play here again. And then he signed a $160 million contract, and he's stuck there.
So he's stuck there with 3 different QBs that the whole thing is a mess. But I had to say that on Shedeur. But like I said, we have those interviews coming up. And, of course, the Warriors' next move after trading or not trading Kuminga, what that means for the Kings, what that means for the Russell Westbrook conversation. I was talking to Brendan Nunez last night, and I have some information that I want to share with you as far as Russell Westbrook and where that could go. MLB playoffs still going on. Are you awake? MLB playoffs are going on. Doesn't matter what time. I've been up since 4 a.m., by the way. All right, baby Styles number 2. She decided, I'm going to give you a couple more hours, 1 more hour to sleep, but I'm going to take them back. And she would not go back down. I got maybe 30 more minutes at about 6 in the morning, and I'm here, baby. That's just what it is. That's just how we're getting down. So great show coming up for you today. Now Dave has got me all worried about crosstalk. Let me just say this. Everyone that put on the end of season party yesterday, if anybody out there listening, it was a great party. Don't get me wrong. for somebody that just does not work for the A's, it just felt very A's focused. That's all I would say. But I got the bobblehead. We're going to keep the bobblehead in the studio. I got my Mike Trout single. That's got to be worth a couple grand. So shout out to everybody that put it on. It was a great event, but just for somebody that works for the River Cats, it felt like you got bulldozed a little bit by the A's. I just wanted more River Cats shout outs. Dinger was there, by the way. So shout out to the River Cats and the A's that kind of conjoined at the hip that they are right now for the next couple seasons here. So thank you to that. Kyle, we still haven't even talked about the A's. I know we talked about it a little bit with the during media day, but we still haven't talked about, I guess, in depth, and we're not going to do it right now per se, but the Sacramento thing and putting Sacramento on the jersey, how people feel about it. 916-339-1140. Our brand new text line is up and running, so call line, text line. Do you feel any differently? Because I'm telling y'all right now, if you don't think, I'm already lined up, all right? I'm already lined up, and my in-laws, when they leave Sacramento, they're heading to Vegas. And I'm telling you right now, Kings over, and the same combo that didn't work for my buddy last season. My buddy is going to embark on it again. It's the trifecta. Take the Kings over, take the A's over, and take the Giants over. It's the same trifecta. One of these days, it's going to hit. That's all. One of these days, it's going to hit.
So help me out here. So this is going into next year.
Next season, yes.
The A's over technically did hit this year.
That's right, but I think the Giants messed it up. Well, never mind. The Kings messed it up.
Yeah, I don't remember what the Giants.
We didn't even get anywhere with the Kings.
Yeah, but it was 74.5 for the A's, and they got to 76.
There you go. So there's the trifecta. And we're going to get all three one of these days.
Also, to help you out, for that ball that you got, I just looked it up. Did you know that was Mike Trout's only hit at Sutter Health Park this year? You are in possession of the only hit Mike Trout ever has at Sutter Health Park.
This is going to change everything for me. Now my kids can go to school. This changes everything. I gotta get Whitey on the line here. He can tell me how much that this baseball is worth.
We can get Imran in here.
That's what I'm saying. Let's get everybody in here that we need.
Because I looked it up. I'm guessing it's August 16th is the date on it. I assume. So he missed the first series because of injury, because, Mike Trout's always hurt. And then in the second trip they made to Sutter Health Park, he went 1 for 10. So
there you
you're
go.
in possession of Mike Trout's only hit in his entire career at this stadium.
As far as baseball is concerned, everybody is laughing because the Yankees choked yesterday. Like I said, I was on my way to the end of season party for the River Kitties and the A's. And I didn't see what happened. Then I saw the updates on social media that the Yankees had bases loaded, no outs. They were down 2, but bases loaded, no outs. Aroldis Chapman at one point forgot that you can only pick over so many times. And they load the bases, and they're unable to. They didn't even get 1 run out of that. I just don't understand it. And this is the difference between the Yankees, and I hate to say it, the Smurfs in L.A. When you look at the Smurfs in L.A. and what the Dodgers do every single season, they destroyed the Reds, by the way. Hunter Green was standing on the mound. He's from the L.A. area and just took to the woodshed. They changed their approach. I know they hit a bunch of dingers and home runs, but they changed their approach. And these Bronx Bombers and this launch angle garbage, a lot of it does not translate to the postseason. Shorten up your swing. I'm getting in the weeds here, but shorten up your swing, make contact, and leave with the victory. It's that simple to me.
It was both games. The Guardians had the tying run on third. They couldn't get it in. The Padres had a runner on third, no outs, couldn't get him in, and then got 1 hit the rest of the game for 7 innings. Like, all these teams just had nothing going. But yesterday was the day of the ace pitchers between Crochet to Chapman, Skubal. Yeah, the pitchers killed it yesterday.
So that was how things went for the Yankees and some of the other games that went on yesterday. So the Cubs won 2.
Yeah, Cubs won, Tigers won, Red Sox won, Dodgers won. Looks like the Tigers have 2 on right now, so Tigers might advance today. Also, it's kind of crazy. Did you know that only 4 out of 12 wild card series in the new format have gone to a game 3? Like, they're just usually all sweeps one way or another.
Yeah, I was a part back in the day, junior college, state playoffs, I was a part of one of the rare situations. We lost to San Jose City. Burns me to this day. One of the rare situations where we won the first game and lost the second two. You got to win that. You win the first game, you kind of have to win the second game. Just don't even give them any hope.
Especially if you got that game from Scooble, where I saw he had the most strikeouts in a playoff game since Roger Clemens and Crochet went 7 1/3. Like, you gotta win when you get those crazy performances.
Literally. So we'll see what happens there. We will keep you all in the loop as we get to a little bit of Kings talk here, and you are listening to a 30-minute non-commercial, commercial-free segment we do at the top of every hour. So when you're driving around your car or listening on YouTube, you got us for 30 minutes straight. And, I did some thinking about how I approached yesterday. So yesterday was kind of the first traditional show since being back from leave. And I had the purple lenses on. I was very open about the purple lenses. And I thought, now that I'm 48 hours removed from Media Day, do I still feel the same way as far as what the Kings can do and what my level of hope is? I don't want to sit here and be all hopeful and then they lose the first or second game, first 3 games, whatever it is, and the whole thing just goes in the tube. And where I landed is that even though the Kings probably won't win the whole thing, I don't know, man. You talk about the pace, and we're also going to talk about the Kings trying to keep up the pace this season. I have a breakdown of the top teams in pace last season, and it might surprise you. It's not necessarily the number one calling card in terms of being a successful team, but it can't help when you do it properly. And looking around, talking to the different players, hearing from the coaching staff, I think the reason for the random hopium is because even though it was only 3 years and even though I disagreed with moving on from Mike Brown the way the Kings did move on from Mike Brown, going into that next season, I think, and a lot of people said this is going to be a throwaway season. I actually feel like it's the opposite. I think if anything, last season was a bit of the throwaway season because you were adding DeMar DeRozan. In Sacramento, we were trying to convince ourselves that it would work, and there was a world where DeMar and De'Aaron Fox and even Malik Monk and Keegan Murray, hey, they're going to, and obviously Domantas Sabonis, they're all going to figure it out, and it's going to work out. But we knew in our heart of hearts how DeMar played, the fact that, you have 2 closers. The whole 2 closers thing, I think we've learned out here in Sacramento that's very similar to the quarterback thing. The old saying, when you have 2 quarterbacks, that means you have none. If you have 2 closers, you kind of have none. And I don't know if, off the top of my head, if we ever successfully saw them, hey, you go, I go, because that's not how it works. If anything, I think at times we saw DeMar get the 3rd quarter, De'Aaron get the 4th quarter, De'Aaron get the 3rd quarter, DeMar get the 4th quarter. The whole thing just looked a bit random. And if you take away who the Kings added and the fact that it's still Mike Brown, you could easily make the argument that there is more to be excited about this season than last season. Last season, you had, and I guess the only thing we were going off of was if Malik doesn't get flopped on, the Kings would have made the playoffs, right? That's how a lot of people felt. Kings would have made the playoffs. That would have been 2 playoffs in 2 years. So that's one thing that we were thinking, but nobody was expecting the Kings to necessarily do anything in the playoffs. We were talking, hey, maybe they'll find a way to get to the second round or something like that, but nobody necessarily felt like there was going to be a parade at Doco. Going into last season, you had the DeMar thing. Am I missing anyone, Kyle? You had the Sasha Vezenkov thing still going on, and just the addition of players, there wasn't really that much to be. Obviously, they had moved on from Harrison Barnes, but we were trying to convince ourselves, and there was no young talent either. Still had Mike Brown. Some people weren't happy with Mike Brown from last season. This season, you don't have that huge acquisition, but you have a belief. And I don't know what that belief. We know De'Aaron believed in Mike Brown. We know some of the fans believed in Mike Brown. But the doghouse thing with Keon Ellis, I think as much as talent matters, and this is what Scott Perry talked about, being on one page matters. Being on one accord matters. And my biggest takeaway, and this doesn't mean that the Kings are going to make the playoffs, do not get me wrong. But my biggest takeaway is that this team is so much more on one page than they were last season. It has to help in some capacity. Now, how much it'll help, I don't know. But the fact that Zach LaVine, we know he loves Doug Christie, and he's excited to prove his worth. I saw that clip. I forgot to tell Carmichael Dave this. Kyle and I, during a break yesterday, watched that clip of Dave and Zach LaVine at least 12 times. When Dave says, Zach LaVine gets paid too much money. Okay. And Zach LaVine hops in immediately, says, I don't think I get paid too much money. It was outstanding. And I don't know if Dave did that on purpose. I don't know what went down, but it was outstanding to listen to. I watched it at least 12 times during one of our breaks. But you got Zach LaVine, I would say some version of a chip on his shoulder. And I think just the transparency that all these guys are working with. They're veterans, right? Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, he only got a couple years left. And how he feels about the legacy he wants to leave in Sacramento and on his career. Dennis Schroeder coming off the Eurobasket MVP. Keegan Murray, he wants to be most improved player. He wants to get his three-point percentage right. Keegan Murray seems very, very focused. And if he don't get that extension, Keegan Murray will be playing for a contract. And we all know how most dudes play when they're playing for a contract. They ball the bleep out. Domantas Sabonis, he's steady Eddie. He's going to have an opportunity to put his name back. That's what I was saying to Henry Turner on Media Day. People have fixed their mouths to say that Domantas Sabonis is the sixth best big man. Hold it. On the West. In the Western Conference. Not in the NBA. They got Jokic, Şengün, Anthony Davis, Zubac, Wemby, and now there's Montes Sabonis.
And Jaren Jackson Jr.
If you want to put him there. Now, I'm not even arguing it. I'm saying that's DeMontis Sabonis' job to go out there and say, oh, y'all must have forgot. I guess I haven't been doing enough. The playoff conversations, not showing up. The last time we saw the Kings, they got blown out of their own building. So again, I don't believe that the Kings are going to win the whole thing. It would be outstanding if they did. It would make life very, very fun here in Sacramento. I understand that. But the idea that you should be less excited than you were last season, and I haven't even mentioned the young dudes. I haven't even mentioned Keon Ellis, no more doghouse, right? Going into his, third year now as kind of a dude in the NBA. Obviously, Nick Clifford, Maxime Reynaud. I guess I passed over Devin Carter last season, but that's because he was injured. So the one young dude that the Kings did draft, he was injured. But you got Devin Carter with a chip on his shoulder. The guys I just talked about, the new draft picks. Keon, the key has been thrown away to the doghouse. He ain't in the doghouse no more. So if you look at it on his face, and I understand the West is a mess, and it's very, very competitive. But if you look at it on paper, there is actually more to be excited about this season than last season. Last season, it was DeMar DeRozan. And will it be enough? And obviously, it wasn't enough. And I should rephrase that by saying, we'll never know because they only got 30 games. But as I close out this segment, I'm not sitting here trying to be a homer. I'm not sitting here trying to placate to Kings fans. If you look at it on paper, though, and you look at the acquisitions and you look at where everyone is, you should be more excited this season than last season just based on who they've added. And the weirdness, and let's not even forget, I know we're up against it. Let's not forget, they were playing with Mike Brown and that extension anyway. They clearly didn't want, there was that weirdness, why they waited so long to give Mike Brown the extension. Let's not forget. So the vibes were just bizarre. They're cleared out now, clean slate. Will it translate to victories? I don't know. But things are a little bit cleaner. As Optimistic Allen, he's still here. No sleep, don't matter. Optimistic Allen is still here. On the other side, Kuminga Watch is done for now. We break down whether or not the Warriors ended up winning that battle, or did Kuminga figure out a back door to get it done. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Only one radio program captures the excitement of hunting and fishing as it happens. The award-winning California Sportsman with Sepp Hendrickson. Only California Sportsman takes you where the action is. Live on the water, live in the blind, and live with the top pros and experts in outdoor sports. California Sportsman with Fishing Hall of Famer Sepp Hendrickson is your premier destination for all things outdoors. Sepp's Saturday Morning Outdoors. Ultimate Bass and California Sportsman, 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. Saturdays on Sacktown Sports 1140.
Need cash fast? Tap into the value of your home with a home equity line of credit from Valley Strong Credit Union. Whether it's for home improvements, debt consolidation, or that dream vacation, you can get your cash offer in minutes. That's right, just minutes to unlock the power of your home's equity with no hard credit pull to see how much cash you can get. No stress, no waiting, just smart local banking that puts you first. Grow your possibilities with Valley Strong Credit Union. Visit valleystrong.com to get started today.
With 25 award-winning years in Northern California, Ashton & Price is your local injury law firm. Pro attorney tip: if a firm presents as local but they're in LA, red flag. If your first consultation is not with a lawyer, big red flag. At Ashton & Price, your first consult is with a local attorney, and if serious injury prevents travel, a lawyer will come to you. Still not enough? George Washington's my uncle. At Ashton & Price, no red flags, just red, white, and blue.
Remember, for the best advice, don't think twice. Call Ashton & Price.
Carmichael Dave here for my friends at American Energy Heating and Air. Yes, I always tell you they are a family-owned operation, been in business since 81, A-plus Better Business Bureau, but it is hot. We are in those Sacramento hot months. I want to focus on them being your second opinion partner. What does that mean? Maybe you've got somebody you're working with or you've worked with in the past in the HVAC world. Guess what? They want to give you a second opinion. How much does it cost? Nothing. Nothing. You call them up and say, hey, can I get a second opinion on this deal? They come out and they either say, wow, that's a great deal, you should feel better about that, or they say, we can beat that price. And usually they're going to beat it by a lot. Guess what? You just saved money and it didn't cost you anything to find out. It's a no-lose situation. Go with a trusted company. American Energy, 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990 or AmericanEnergyAir.com. Jingle singers, take it away.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
When I was a kid, I remember my dad, a lineman, leaving in the middle of the night. Families were depending on him to get their power back on to keep them safe and warm. Watching him taught me that this work isn't just about wires and circuits. It's about people and the trust they place in us when the lights go out. That's why I started Maverick Electric Heating and Air, to carry on that same promise of showing up, doing it right, and protecting families when they need us most. Visit callamaverick.com.
Allen Stiles. Watch the show on youtube.com/Sacktown Sports 1140.
Or listen on the Sacktown Sports app.
Taking you up to 2 p.m., we will be joined by Brett Siegel. Okay, that is coming up in 30 minutes to break down Kuminga Watch and where Kuminga Watch goes from here. Breaking news on the Jonathan Kuminga front. This happened. Kyle, it's still the same. When did that happen? About an hour after the show ended? Less than that?
I think so. I didn't find out until like 4:30.
I saw it because you sent me a text and I thought, Kyle, you're a little late here.
Yes, that is exactly what happened. So funny enough, so I think I was out at the grocery store or something. But anyways, I saw in our producer thread that Jay Johnson put, Anthony Slater is hopping on now. And I was like, that's weird. Why would Slater be coming on impromptu? And then it clicked in my head, oh, the Kuminga thing probably got sorted out. So
yeah,
that's probably like an hour late to the party.
Yeah, well, not even. I mean, it broke at 3:30. And that's when Sham sent the initial tweet. And again, ending a summer-long stalemate, Jonathan Kuminga has agreed to a 2-year, $48.5 million contract to return to the Golden State Warriors. Agent Aaron Turner told ESPN the deal has a team option designed for the contract to be ripped up. And this just gets me every time. I can't even read it without smirking. The deal, I can't wait to ask Brett Siegel about this. The deal has a team option designed for the contract to be ripped up and renegotiated next summer. If Shams had said handshake agreement, I would have lost it. I would have lost it.
Would have been the funniest outcome to
Because
this.
that's literally what this is. What type of team option isn't designed for the contract to be ripped up? Does that just mean if it was
the Keon Ellis one where he's dramatically underpaid?
I guess that's true.
Where the player's getting screwed. That's the team contract that's designed not to be opted out of.
So in this situation, he's making enough money in that second year that if the Warriors don't see the value, just go away.
Yeah, it disincentivizes the Warriors because I believe the original offer was 2 for 45, and this went up to 2 for 48.5. But he only got $1 million added this year. So that means if I'm doing math, and my math is mathing, $2.5 million more on the team option is supposed to disincentivize the Warriors from opting in to the team option.
Breaking news on the Kuminga front. After weeks of contract drama, the Golden State Warriors and Kuminga have reached an agreement, officially a $48.5 million
Weeks?
deal.
This
yeah,
was
it
months.
was really months, honestly.
93 days.
The second year is a team option built intentionally so the Warriors or future suitor via trade, wink, wink, can revisit his status. Kuminga declined a 3-year deal with $75 million, preferring flexibility over a shorter period of time. In the deal, he waives, and here you go, waives his no trade clause, meaning he's open to movement, particularly around the January trade window when he actually can be moved. Golden State is filling their other roster spots with Steph's brother, Al Horford, DeAnthony Melton, a couple dudes like that, and they're going to rock and roll here. So long story short, Kuminga squeezed out a little more money. You can frame it as he caved or the Warriors won, but the bottom line is he's getting more money and will still probably be traded somewhere that is at least pretty interested in him. That was my whole thing, and I get it. Again, when people don't like you, no matter what you say, now some of it isn't your fault. Some of it is brought upon yourself, right? I don't know that Shedeur brought it upon himself, as we were talking about in the first segment. Kuminga's agent did bring it upon himself. The way he was acting, the media tour, if it ain't a player option, we're not signing, we're ready for the qualifying offer. That's why people are kind of dancing on the qualifying offer's grave, because it's, hey, you said you weren't going to do this. You said you were going to stand on business and take the qualifying offer. And yeah, the Warriors gave you a little bit more money, but the biggest thing and probably the most value in that deal is the team option versus the player option. So the Warriors didn't fold. Shout out to Mike Dunleavy Jr. And they said, I just don't think you're going to take the qualifying option, the qualifying offer. And he didn't. So that's why there are a lot of Warriors fans saying the Warriors won the trade. I saw Bonte Hill, who covers the Warriors for NBC Sports Bay Area. He said he thinks it's a win-win. But fans don't like that. Fans don't like win-wins. Fans don't like fence sitting. And, of course, if you're a fan of the Warriors, you're going to say they got it done. I saw some Kings fans saying you're bringing back a player that doesn't want to be there. Or I guess I just saw his agent say Kuminga is ready to go, and people are still just quote tweeting him saying, shut up, you caved, and all this stuff. But I think the biggest part is we've been here with Kuminga before. And to me, the question now becomes every single season with Jonathan Kuminga, there has been questions about the playing time. So he's got more money in his pocket, but we've seen this story over and over again. And the fact that he has more money, again, do we know that Steve Kerr is going to play him? Somebody said maybe they had a conversation with Steve Kerr. This is what he said. JK, this is what the agent said. JK is ready to go. Appreciate all the guys who helped over the last month. We love the support from those that see the truth about JK and love the hate even more. Trust me, all the receipts are being kept. Let's hoop. Hashtag just know. I wonder if that's a play on Jonathan Kuminga.
Yeah,
is that his new deal that is going to be the just know?
Oh, they're going to LLC that, I promise you.
So they're ready to go. And again, and people were, I said some things yesterday, and you're just being a salty Kings fan or whatever it is. No, not really. I'm just following the trends. This is what has happened with Jonathan Kuminga every season. He's just getting paid more money now.
So if the through line remains the same, which is Kuminga did kind of cave. Like they did not get everything they wanted. In fact, they didn't get very much in concessions from the Warriors. They got a little bit more money. If that means he's a loser in this whole saga because he has to go back to Golden State and doesn't get the no trade clause, but he gets money. So, like, you know, he thought that extra $16 million was worth more than the no trade clause he would have gotten on the qualifying offer. If Kuminga's a loser in this, then the only possible outcomes are win, lose, or lose-lose.
Yeah.
And walking out of this, it's starting to feel more like lose-lose. Now, again, if the Warriors come back and they're awesome, then it won't matter. Also, the weird thing with Curry's brother is that he can't actually be on the team until I think it's like November 10th or something.
Yeah, so they're going to, and we're not going to get too in the weeds, but they're going to add him,
then waive him, and then bring him back.
And then bring him back in November or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess he's fine with it because, like, he's not going to play anywhere else.
I'm just here, man.
He's just crashing on the couch.
Yeah, I'm just here. And there were games he didn't even play, and I don't know how much of that was just the Hornets being terrible, but there were games he was getting DNPs on certain nights. So I don't know. I'm sure he'll ball out against the Kings because that's how it is.
I mean, he's the 15th roster guy on, like, the second oldest team in the league. I don't think he's, like, going to be a big factor.
Yeah, as this pertains, and we'll get into it a little bit more after we talk to Brett Siegel, but as it pertains to the Kings, I feel like this is the worst case scenario. And Brett was more optimistic when we discussed, hey, if Kuminga does sign that contract, does that mean the Kings are done? And he said, no, I think the Kings definitely have an opportunity, but at 48 and a half a year, so what, basically 24 million, that's such a good price point for the Warriors. They're going to have a lot of options, and I just don't see the Kings. They already didn't want Malik Monk. They didn't want DeMar DeRozan. I mean, even if they wanted Keon is not making enough money now that Kuminga has this deal. Keegan, if they don't sign him to, and even if they sign him to the extension, it would be weird timing there. So I'm be honest with you. I think this thing is done, and now you understand why the Kings press so hard to try to get it done before he signed, and it just was what it was with the money situation. Because, do I necessarily think that the Warriors are going to get Trey Murphy? I don't think so, unless they're willing to really cash out, and I think it would be Kuminga and at least a pick for somebody like Trey Murphy. Even if it's not Trey Murphy, that 24.5 price point a year with that team option control, the Warriors are going to have a lot of options for Jonathan Kuminga, and I don't think that the Kings have anything now that the Warriors are interested in.
No, you just kind of hit the nail on the head there, which is now there are more teams that can get involved. And whatever chance you thought Kuminga had before you, the listener, just take that and cut it down to almost zero, because now the scenario where they would land Kuminga is the Warriors get an offer before the trade deadline that they would be willing to part with Kuminga, which is saying they get an offer for a player better than Jonathan Kuminga. The team that is acquiring Kuminga says they don't want Jonathan Kuminga, and then would be willing to reroute him to Sacramento for whatever package Sacramento can offer, which would no longer be the discounted price of Malik Monk and a first-round pick.
Right.
It would have to be something more than that. So the odds of all of that happening are very slim. I don't think Kuminga's going to be a King unless it's like as a free agent in the summer of 26.
Yeah, and if the team says no thank you, if something goes weird with the team option, something like that. But as far as on this current deal before they get to the second year, DeMar's making 24.7. I don't think the Kings or the Warriors are interested in DeMar. Malik making 18.7. I don't think what we know, they weren't terribly interested in Malik. They already seen Dennis Schroeder. That ain't happening again at $14 million. Keegan is making 11. I mean, Keegan would be the interesting thing. Would the Kings do that? I don't personally think they should, but I mean, it's something to keep an eye on. But still, that's $11 million. So you got to fill that the rest of that money, $13 million somewhere else. Dario, the rest is just not even worth talking about unless you bring up a Keon Ellis. But again, you have to make that money work. So you understand now why the Kings were checking back in as much as they were, because they were interested in some young talent. And now we can close the book and we can discuss whether or not this is actually a good or bad thing for the Kings. But we got Chrissy's Cuts coming up on the other side. First one of the new season, talking about how much they want to be the best conditioned team in the NBA, Dennis Schroeder's first impressions, and Keegan Murray's aggressiveness on offense. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Progressive knows if you have to choose between everyday life and your RV, RV wins.
What, are you going to take the RV to the mountains or go pick up your dry cleaning? RV wins! Are we cleaning the gutters or taking the RV camping? RV wins! Are we getting a new passport or cruising up the coast? RV wins!
Don't forget, you got that trip to Sweden coming up.
Oh, yeah, passport, then RV.
With Progressive, you can bundle your RV with your home or auto and save with a discount and spend more time enjoying those savings in your RV. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states and situations.
Staples presents That Was Easy.
So my sandwich shop was opening in a week and I needed signage.
A week is plenty of time to panic.
I went to Staples. They printed banners, posters, and flyers to promote my grand opening.
All in time for your grand closing.
Nope, I had it same day. I even got $125 off my order.
Holy onions! For all your business printing, Staples.
That was easy.
Now save up to $125 on custom print orders. In-store and online, same day if ordered by 12 p.m. into 11/1. Exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for details.
Progressive knows if you have to choose between everyday life and your RV, RV wins.
What, are you going to take the RV to the mountains or go pick up your dry cleaning? RV wins! Are we cleaning the gutters or taking the RV camping? RV wins! Are we getting a new passport or cruising up the coast? RV wins!
Don't forget, you got that trip to Sweden coming up.
Oh, yeah, passport, then RV.
With Progressive, you can bundle your RV with your home or auto and save with a discount and spend more time enjoying those savings in your RV. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states and situations.
Lowe's knows how to help make your home holiday ready for less. Get Select Style Selections vinyl flooring for just $1.99 per square foot and have it installed before the festivities begin. Our team can help you every step of the way. See a Lowe's Red Vest associate or visit Lowe's.com/holiday install to get started. Lowe's, we help, you save. Basic install only. Date restrictions apply. Subject to availability. Installed by independent contractors. See associate for details. Contiguous U.S. only.
When shopping for a new car, what do you want? A great selection? A low monthly payment? More for your trade? At Northern California's best Honda dealer, Stockton Honda, you get it all. Model year end savings are going on now. Drive away in your favorite Honda. It's savings you just can't say no to. Come in today or go to StocktonHonda.com.
Anytime, anywhere, it's all here. StocktonHonda.com.
Based on the results of the study, recognized on June 18, 2025, USA Today's list of California's top car dealers 2025.
Listen to the 49ers Red Zone Report daily, brought to you by Mountain Mike's Pizza, the official pizza of the 49ers. Mountain Mike's Pizza, pizza the way it ought to be.
The Travel Guys, new on KHTK 1140 every Saturday at 11 a.m.
We'll make you a smarter traveler. Tips you can use on the road and at the airport, plus reports from top consumer advocates.
The Travel Guys, 11 a.m. on Sactown Sports 1140.
Allen Stiles. You can join the show by texting 916-339-1140
on Sactown Sports.
Brett Siegel joins us in 15 minutes to break down if this whole thing is over. Jonathan Kuminga, if he's hearing anything on Russell Westbrook, and just preparing for the season. Anything else around the league? The Giannis thing, did you see that report? Giannis has explored, and it was kind of swept under the rug because there's an underlying beef between Bucks fans and Shams, and Bucks fans can't stand Shams because they think that Shams, I don't want to say makes up stuff, but kind of stretches things out.
Pushing a narrative.
Yes, to make it seem like Giannis wants to leave. And look, Bucks fans, if Giannis would just say, I'm very committed. Stop doing the, hey, I know I could get traded at any moment thing, as if, and I've joked about this before, hey, if you want to break up with me, and if I'm not good enough for you, you just let me know. Giannis has been doing this for years. So Bucks fans, I understand why you're annoyed with Shams, but it's not really Shams' fault because Giannis is letting this thing continue. And Shams will have beef, or Giannis will have beef with Shams, but it's all if you're sitting there, Shams is not creating this stuff out of thin air. People already tried to call him out on that. Who was it? Jimmy Butler's agent.
Jimmy Butler's agent was like, Shams is making stuff up, and then everything came out. It's like, actually,
stop playing with this dude, man.
Everything he said was correct.
Stop playing with this dude. So with the Giannis thing, still weird, even though we're back in training camp. And again, the last time we talked to Brett Siegel, he said, well, I think you got to think about it this way. Giannis and the idea of him leaving the Bucks, that doesn't have a timeline of the beginning of the season, right? So they could start the season together, but that doesn't necessarily mean that Giannis is going to continue to be on the Bucks for the long-term future. So talking to Brett Siegel in 15 minutes. All right, Kyle, for the first time of the 2025-2026 season.
It's back.
Let's get some Christie's Cuts.
You know, our narrative from, myself and Scott P is we're going to be the best conditioned team in the NBA. One of the top ones for sure. So trying to figure out and them buying into that has been a message that they've received, since I took over and Scott was the general manager. So it's just all about us being willing to give of ourselves, and it's tough, man. Conditioning is not for everybody. And then being in the conditioning to be the best conditioned team in this league definitely ain't for everybody. But it's what a Sacramento King is about. Man, Dennis looked like he's been here his whole life. It's not hard when you're that good. I mean, the kid, he understands how to play. He's a winner. He plays the right way. He moves the basketball. He plays defense. He's not afraid to talk to his teammates. Like I told you guys yesterday, like everything that I was looking at him to be is what I'm seeing out there on the floor. So I'm really, really pleased. Part of the things I talked to Keegan about is like hunting shots. To give you an example, like Doug McDermott, he's a hunter. So as soon as he's in the corner, everyone's like, hey, watch out, he's in the corner, and the whole gym shifts over. And Keegan has to learn that mentality, and it's a learned thing. It's like whenever you catch it, I want him to catch it, not catch it, and then think about shooting as he's coming near. He needs to be already thinking about it. Matter of fact, when he's in the corner, he should be thinking, when I get up there, I'm going to shoot the basketball. And that comes off to your defender. And then it sprinkles through their team. And that's important for him because when he catches it at 40% and he shows shot, the guy's probably going to rise up. Now he can put it on the deck. But when you catch it and then all of a sudden you're not thinking about shot as a defender, I'm going to snuggle up into you and then I'm going to start taking away things, and now your teammates are like, pass the ball, and there's a trickle effect. Well, he needs to hunt shots. And we've had the conversation, and, for him, I think the number is around 10. If he can get up 10 threes, that would be a beautiful, beautiful thing. I want to see him to the free throw line more. But more than anything, like I told you guys yesterday, smile and play defense.
Smile and play defense. Another takeaway from these last couple days, we've already talked about Dennis Schroeder and how much they love Dennis Schroeder. And Brendan was talking about this yesterday when he hopped on after the first day of training camp. They're talking about Dennis Schroeder like this is they're talking about Dennis Schroeder, I'm not going to say prime Chris Paul, but they're talking about Dennis Schroeder like OKC Chris Paul. That's how they're talking about Dennis Schroeder. And maybe there's somewhat of a comparison there. Maybe. They love Dennis Schroeder. But we've talked about Dennis Schroeder. There's clearly a narrative being pushed, as Kyle mentioned earlier on. Clearly a narrative being pushed, or a theme, with Keegan Murray. And I guess it's completely separate to the extension talks, but the one thing we've heard is Keegan needs to shoot the basketball more and more and more. And to me, Kyle, off the top of my head, with the battle that Malik is going to have going on, and he's probably going to be coming off the bench again, off the top of my head, it sounds like they want Keegan Murray to be the third option, right? You'd have Zach LaVine, DeMar 1A, 1B, or 1-2 in whatever order, and Keegan Murray the third option. That's what I'm taking away from this. They feel, and maybe part of that is, as far as the extension is concerned, and again, different extensions for different teams. Jabari Smith Jr. comes off the bench for the Rockets, and he already got his extension. Different situation. They want Keegan to be the third option. That's I don't know if it's a hot take, but that is my main takeaway from the first couple days, media day and training camp. They expect and want and, in a way, need Keegan Murray to be the third option. It seems like somebody had a conversation between Scott and Doug and maybe with Keegan, maybe with the team. This is a very Keegan-focused season.
I guess if you're just chalking up Sabonis is going to give you that 20 points per game he's been doing, and that's just what it's going to be.
Yes.
Right. Then,
or maybe it's a little less. Maybe it's possibly less.
See, that's tough because I think he should be going in the other direction. I think he should be scoring more if the Kings are going to be better. But
I mean, look, maybe the argument is they're trying to push the pace. That means more possessions, right?
Yeah.
And maybe it is a high level fourth option. And it's not maybe you could be the fourth option, but it looks different because Keegan's probably been the fourth option the last couple of years, but it's looked a specific way. Maybe Keegan can still up what he's doing without taking away, because you got to remember Dennis Schroeder's going to shoot the basketball too. So I'm trying to figure out how it happens, but all they keep talking about is Keegan Murray shooting the basketball more.
Well, that was the big thing that he snuck in there, was the 10 threes a game thing, which...
Yeah. Last year, was it 50 threes in a game for the team?
50 threes as a team. If you had to guess, how many people do you think shot 10 threes per game last year?
This is a good one.
In the entire league.
Steph. I would say, there's an obvious one. Anthony Edwards. I would say, this is not as obvious because they were moving the basketball more, but I know he puts it up. Is Donovan Mitchell on that list?
Donovan Mitchell is 8th at 8.9.
What about Trae Young?
Trae Young was 12th at 8.4 because he doesn't shoot anymore.
Luka.
Luka did not qualify.
So there can't be more than 4 or 5, so I'm just going to say 4.
It's 3.
Okay, so I had 2 of them.
Yeah, 3 players in the entire league shot 10 threes per game.
Who was the last one?
Jason Tatum.
Oh, yeah.
4th was Malik Beasley at 9.3.
I'm sure Levine was up there somewhere.
22 at 7.2.
Okay.
So Keegan's going to shoot 2 more threes per game than Zach LaVine on the Kings.
Yeah, that's
Just
interesting.
Not going to happen.
But hey, you shoot for the moon and you land amongst the stars. If you tell him 10 and he gets, how many did he shoot last season if you got that right?
Last season he was at 5.9.
Oh my.
His career high is 6.6.
Yeah, just get to 7, Keeg. Just get to 7, Uncle Keegs. That's really what, that's not what Doug's saying, but that's what he's actually saying.
Setting the bar at 10, I guess, is the shoot for the moon, or shoot for the stars.
When I would tell my parents, I would go into a semester and I would say, I'm getting a 3.5 this semester, hoping that I would just land at a 3.0.
Jesus, that's set the bar. That's not 10 threes per game.
What
it's
is
not
that?
3.5.
That is 10 threes a game. A 3.5 GPA?
I don't think I ever had a 3.5 ever in high school, dude.
Which way are you going?
You're telling your parents you're going to get a 4.0, and if you come in at a 3.6, then you're like, look.
Man. Look, Dale South's one of the hardest high schools out there, all right? 3.5 would have been great. Never got there either. But you set yourself there, and then when I fall at a 3.0, 3.2, which was also dicey, you feel good about it.
But again, 10 threes per game would put you in the top 4 in your class.
I see what you're saying. That's AP and honors classes. That's a 4.2.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Getting to that is a 4.2. 3.5 is Keegan getting to 7.
Okay, you're right. So, look, Keeg, just get out there and just shoot when you're open. How about that? And enough with the pump faking all the time. Just put it up.
If we've learned anything from this segment, it's that Keegan's going to shoot 10 threes per game, and Allen didn't have high enough standards for himself in school.
Look, man, you get to school, and the one thing about school is I didn't realize, because in grade school, you're not really paying attention to GPA. So B's and B minuses, I'm thinking I'm chilling. And then I got to high school and a B minus, and I don't know if the ratings have changed because this was a long time ago, but a B minus is a 2.7. You get B's and B minuses, that's not going to cut it.
Nope, that's below a 3.
That's not going to cut it. So I was flabbergasted when I got to school. I'm thinking, oh, I'm chilling, okay. Got some B's, got mixed in an A here for English class, and then I got my C+ in whatever math I was taking. And I came home, and my mom is like, brother, this is not, you're going to talk to the counselor. Hey, man, no, you like Stanford, right? Yeah. Here you go. You like Cal, right? Yeah, here you go. Yeah, man, those B minuses got to go.
I hear Cal State Fullerton has a good baseball team.
You know what? And there's nothing wrong with that. I would have went there too. Shout out Temple. On the other side, Brett Siegel joins us to break down who won and lost the Kuminga standoff and what does that mean for the Kings, not just for Kuminga, but for any additions this upcoming season. Don't move. More Allen Stiles Show coming up.
Let's go.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free exit info kit. 800-329-2121. That's 800-329-2121.
So my mother is thinking of switching from Verizon to Pure Talk, but she's worried the deal sounds too good to be true. Michael, she said, how can those Pure Talk people offer me the same basic service as Verizon for so much less money? I said, Ma, go ask Google how much Verizon spends on advertising and promotions. A few seconds later, my mother said, oh my goodness, $12 billion a year? That must be a typo. I'll tell you what I told my mom. It's not a typo. Verizon spends $12 billion a year on advertising and promotions, and their customers are paying for it. Well, Pure Talk doesn't spend that kind of money on commercials. Trust me, I would know. That's why they can offer you and my mother unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data on a crazy fast 5G network for just $25 a month. And if you're a business owner, you could really save a fortune. Dial pound 250, say the words Mike Rowe, and you'll get an additional 50% off your first month. That's pound 250 Mike Rowe. Pure Talk. Everything you need and nothing you don't.
Golf to Go is brought to you by the Hagen Oaks Golf Super Shop. Here's Frank LaRosa.
There are plenty of reasons to love golf in Northern California. With giant redwoods lining the fairways, the best Alistair McKenzie course you've never played is Northwood Golf Club's 9-holer along the Russian River. The 7th hole at Pebble Beach is a beauty or a beast. Play a sandwich or a 3-iron depending on the direction of the wind. Down the road a bit, Pacific Grove Golf Course sports a gazillion-dollar ocean view and a green fee about 1/10 of Pebble Beach. San Francisco's Presidio Golf Course survived the 1906 earthquake and was home course to President Teddy Roosevelt. You can tee it up on the ocean at the links of Bodega Harbor at dawn and tap in at sunset in the mountains at Old Greenwood in Truckee. Unlike Caddyshack's Carl Spackler, a good superintendent goes unnoticed working behind the scenes. Green thumbs up. There's a lot to love about golf, and as columnist Thomas Boswell wrote, when you fall in love with golf, you seldom fall easy. It's obsession at first sight. That's your Golf to Go. I'm Frank LaRosa.
Carmichael Dave here for my friends at American Energy Heating and Air. Yes, I always tell you they are a family-owned operation, been in business since 81, A-plus Better Business Bureau, but it is hot. We are in those Sacramento hot months. I want to focus on them being your second opinion partner. What does that mean? Maybe you've got somebody you're working with or you've worked with in the past in the HVAC world. Guess what? They want to give you a second opinion. How much does it cost? Nothing. You call them up and say, hey, can I get a second opinion on this deal? They come out and they either say, wow, that's a great deal, you should feel better about that, or they say, we can beat that price, and usually they're going to beat it by a lot. Guess what? You just saved money and it didn't cost you anything to find out. It's a no-lose situation. Go with a trusted company, American Energy, 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990 or AmericanEnergyAir.com. Jingle Singers, take it away.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
Your local
local sports leader in the 916.
KHTK HD1 Sacramento, KYMX HD3 Sacramento.
From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios, Sacktown Sports 1140. Your home for Kings talk and so much more.
Live and local.
Allen Stiles on Sacktown Sports.
11 o'clock on the dot, and sometimes we have him on. We were doing Fridays for a bit, but when breaking news happens, we wanted to get him on as soon as possible. So we are joined by my guy, the one and only Brett Siegel, national NBA insider and reporter for Clutch Points. Brett, good to hear from you again. It's over, Brett. It's over.
It's finally over. We finally have a decision made by Jonathan Kuminga and the Warriors, which then opened the floodgates for them to finish off their offseason of what we've been reporting. Well, it seems like ever since before Summer League. So finally, the last team that was on the board to make a move in free agency has done so as training camp and media day begin. And now the Warriors' quest to win another championship with Stephen Curry, get that fifth ring, begins today.
Let's start here, Brett, because a lot of Warriors fans, and I know they were, some people were coming at you and your mention. Some people were coming at me from the Kings angle, saying that I sound salty. So let's start here. From your point of view, who, quote unquote, won this standoff?
It's the Warriors. And the reason is, if Jonathan Kuminga had accepted that qualifying offer, like him and his agent had been threatening over the last few weeks leading up to this deadline, which is going to be tonight, for him to accept that qualifying offer. If he had done so, the Warriors would have been trapped, where it would have been such a toxic environment knowing that he doesn't want to be there. He was going to be leaving next offseason. If he signed that qualifying offer, he couldn't be traded because it was $7.8 million, and he would have a no-trade clause. So he would have full control of his contract and immediate future with the Warriors. Who knows what kind of role he would have had if they would have played him less because of that. But now they don't have to worry about that at all. They get him on that $22.5 million cap hit this year, which will increase if he is traded, because he does have a 15% trade kicker. But it's important to have that $20 million slide. And you and me have talked about, Allen, how when the Warriors traded Andrew Wiggins, they lost kind of an ability to make a trade moving forward, where they had Jimmy Butler, they had Stephen Curry and Draymond Green, but you don't have that middle tier contract anymore to then go out and make changes to your roster as you see fit at the trade deadline. Now that you have Jonathan Kuminga at $22.5 million, that's basically a $22.5 million trade exception that you can now go out, see what's on the market. Maybe it is Malik Monk that you want to add midseason depending on injuries. Maybe it's somebody else. Maybe Giannis Antetokounmpo becomes available. Now all of a sudden you have $22 million that you can immediately contribute to getting a big salary player like that. So it keeps all the Warriors' options open. It allows them to continue playing at the table and figuring out what they want their roster to look like. But in the short term, you get Jonathan Kuminga back. He's happy. He's getting paid. And maybe this is a relationship that can move forward, even though it seemed like it's been fractured all offseason. It seems like he doesn't want to be there long term. But, hey, anything can happen in this league, and we've seen crazier things before.
Talking to Brett Siegel, national NBA insider and reporter for Clutch Points. Brett, when it comes to the idea of, and Shams put it, I want to get it exactly correct. This made me chuckle a little bit, Brett. The deal has a team option designed for the contract to be ripped up and renegotiated next summer. That's some, I guess, agent spin, or that's how it sounded to me, Brett. What does that actually mean, right? Because he could get traded to the Pelicans or whoever, and they don't owe him anything. They can pick it up if they want, or they can not pick it up if you want. What did you take from Shams adding that little wrinkle into it? The deal as a team option designed for the contract to be ripped up and renegotiated next summer.
Yeah, it's pretty clear where that's coming from. It's not coming from the team.
Yeah.
And if the Warriors wanted to, they pick up that option and trap Jonathan Kuminga next year if he plays well and they don't want to get rid of him.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really language that's coming from, hey, we did you a solid, so you kind of have to own up to that and do us one if you don't get what you want. Because the idea of signing this $22.5 million contract is Jonathan Kuminga to play for the Warriors, be a focal point for them behind those veteran all-stars, but also be that trade exception like we mentioned. And that's kind of the expectation right now, is that they're looking at this contract, that Kuminga and his camp are looking at it as if he's going to be on the move before February's trade deadline. And now where that ends up, who knows? But if he's not traded and he's on the Warriors roster at the end of the season, they expect them to kind of honor this unwritten, unspoken agreement where the contract will be ripped up and he will become a free agent again. And whether or not they negotiate another long-term deal or he signs somewhere else, it's basically just Kuminga and his camp saying that they have control of their future. They're going to make the decisions there, and that's that. But in reality, it's really the Warriors that kind of hold the ball now, and they can really dictate what's going to happen with Jonathan Kuminga, where he could potentially be traded, and what they could potentially get back in a trade.
Talking to Brett Siegel, national NBA insider and reporter for Clutch Points. So just to confirm, Brett, and I saw that floating around as well, there is no clear no trade clause for Kuminga. The Warriors could send him to the Guangdong Tigers. They can do whatever they want with Kuminga, and he's got no say as far as the trade is concerned. But I guess they're saying, I guess there's going to be an attempt to work with him, but they don't really have to. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. I don't necessarily know about a trade to China. I don't think the CBA would allow that. But in theory, yes, they can basically trade him to any team that they want. The implicit no trade clause that he was to receive from this 2-year deal was waived in the agreement with him getting that trade kicker and with him getting an elevated salary. So that's kind of where it's at. It's in quotes, it's really a 2-year, $46.8 million deal. And with that 15% trade kicker, that's what gets you to that 48.5%. And we're just kind of labeling it as a 48.5% deal because we're expecting that trade to happen. Obviously, it's only a cap hit of $22.5 million, though, and that's really the big deal here for the Warriors, because there was some discrepancy when this deal was first reported as $48.5 million, and the trade kicker came later on, the news of that. It's like, well, is it $22.5 million? Is it $23.7 million, $23.8 million? And why is that important? Well, it's because of these other guys that signed. You had Al Horford that signed for a 2-year, $12 million deal at the taxpayer mid-level. It's 5.7 this year, 6.3 next year. But that's important because they're hard capped at the second apron now. They cannot cross that line. And that Jonathan Kuminga mark, that small difference in that $1 million because of that 15% trade kicker, you now can't sign Seth Curry outright. They had to sign him to a training camp deal. They're going to waive him before the regular season starts and then re-sign him again on November 15th. It's just a little of cap maneuverability that we've seen from teams in the past. One that comes to mind is the New York Knicks with the way that they balanced their sheets last year of signing guys, releasing them, bringing them back. We're going to see a similar thing here with the Warriors. But that's really why this contract is unique, because as we report it as $48.5 million, it's really just a base compensation of $46.8 that can reach $48.5.
Talking to Brett Siegel of Clutch Points. Brett, teams wake up this morning or at about 3:30 when it broke yesterday. They see that Jonathan Kuminga, he's on this contract now at about $24 million a year, and the Warriors are going to look to move him in January. What do you think his value is, and how many teams do you think kind of perked up when they saw that to think, okay, we might be interested?
For Jonathan Kuminga?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I think the Kings, their interest isn't going to go away. And even if they agree to a long-term extension with Keegan Murray, I think that the goal is to still pursue Jonathan Kuminga. And they wouldn't have pursued Jonathan Kuminga this offseason with the idea that they're going to get rid of Keegan Murray, or else they would have just offered him in those sign and trade talks. So obviously they have some kind of idea of what they want moving forward. I would pretty much assume that they're going to be in contact with the Warriors leading up to the trade deadline, depending on how both their seasons are going. I think that a team like the Chicago Bulls, who we've rumored in the past of having interest in Jonathan Kuminga, they're going to be a team that potentially looks to make moves at the trade deadline with all their expiring contracts. They got Nikola Vucevic, who's expiring. Zach Collins is on an expiring deal. Kevin Huerter, Kobe White. Those are all question marks there of what their futures are going to look like. And maybe there's a trade that they can make with the Warriors. Maybe there's a multi-team trade to be had there where Kuminga ends up in Chicago and some of those pieces go elsewhere. But it's really going to be up to how this season goes. What teams are going to deal with injuries? How are the Warriors going to be playing come time when Kuminga becomes trade eligible on January 15th? Are they going to be a team that is kind of in the top 4 of the standings, or are they going to be a borderline playing team? Those are important aspects of look to trade Jonathan Kuminga, because if he's having a great season and they're being successful, I don't necessarily think that they're going to just kind of jump the gun and just trade him with no idea of what they're getting back. So that's the important factor. And then obviously is the other side of things with other teams, who's injured, where their standing is. Are they achieving expectations, or are they underachieving expectations? So that's all going to play a role in how this Kuminga stuff plays out. But think of this contract for Kuminga as extending his trade window, basically, where the sign and trades weren't there, the value wasn't good, the Warriors didn't want to do it, and they were dealing with base year compensation rules and the problems thereof. If they had accepted the Kings trade with Malik Monk, they would have then had to dump Buddy Hield or Moses Moody, something that they weren't willing to do. So this kind of gives them another 4-ish and a half months to figure out what they want to do with Jonathan Kuminga, and it opens up a lot more optionality on the trade market with teams that face uncertain futures and have non-guaranteed or one-year contracts on their books that they'll be looking to move.
Talking to Brett Siegel of Clutch Points. Brett, earlier you said that, look, you never know what could happen in the NBA. Maybe it ends up working out for them. Kuminga and his agent, his camp, they've said, hey, if we sign, we're going to be all in. I know that the Warriors feel like their culture is strong enough that they can kind of get him back on the right side of things, just getting him in the building. What are the chances that this does work out and Kuminga is, I know people have said, hey, you look at these guys are all 37, 38 years old. They're going to need some days off, and Kuminga can really slide in there and be that alpha dog when Jimmy or whoever needs to miss some time. What are the chances that this does work out and Kuminga ends up becoming the future for the Golden State Warriors?
It's really hard to put like a number percentage on that right now, because it really does depend on what his role is going to look like. Is Steve Kerr going to put him in a bigger role and look to get some of his veterans more rest early on in the regular season? Will Kuminga step up and be better than he was and look like that player that he was in that Timberwolves series? So there's still a lot of question marks that need to be answered here in order to truly say, well, this could get figured out. But the biggest thing for me, and from digging through all this reporting and talking with the teams and getting information on this Kuminga saga throughout the offseason, the biggest thing I learned is that the Warriors veterans are in his corner. Right. Stephen Curry, Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green were advocates for the Warriors to get this done with Jonathan Kuminga as it dragged out into August and then early September. They wanted to see a resolution, and they wanted him back. And surprisingly enough, it was a surprise to me, and it may come to a surprise to others. Draymond Green has been a huge advocate for Jonathan Kuminga. He's wanted him back, and he's kind of been a mentor to him in a way. And Jimmy Butler, since he's come over, he's kind of been the same. So it's interesting to hear that. And then you see this stalemate going up to the very last minutes, very last hours of this deadline for the qualifying offer. Ultimately, they reach a deal, and they avoid that disastrous scenario for both parties. But it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Is there still a feeling of Jonathan Kuminga wanting change? Is he going to be open to any role that Steve Kerr gives him? Are the veterans going to talk to him and have him very, very much buy into this idea of, hey, you're the essential fourth piece in our championship run? That back in 2022, you had Steph, you had Draymond, you had Clay. Who was that fourth guy? It was Jordan Poole, and he was essential to the Warriors' run. Maybe they talk to him in that capacity and say, you're going to be this year's Jordan Poole. We need you to be that in order for us to win a championship. And who knows, if he succeeds in that role and they don't trade him and they're playing very well come January, come February, if everything's going well and he's happy, I would say that there's a good chance that they could maybe reach another long-term extension here.
Talking to Brett Siegel, who covers the NBA, National NBA Insider for Clutch Points. Just a couple more for you, Brett. What do you think, as far as the trade conversation, and we know that Kuminga kind of wanted to get out of town, as far as the Warriors, what do you think they're looking for? Because the funny thing is, as this whole thing kept evolving, if you look around at what the Warriors need, I know they wish that he was a bit better at shooting the three-point ball, and that's everybody these days. But the funniest part is that what the Warriors have been asking for in these trades is essentially what Jonathan Kuminga is. It's just the mental aspect and the buy-in. And I've heard the word Trey Murphy. I don't know why, if you're the Pelicans. Now, I don't know why the Pelicans do a lot of things, but I don't know why, if you're the Pelicans, you move off of Trey Murphy unless the Warriors are going to give you Kuminga and some picks and more than that. What are the Warriors looking for if he gets into the building and they say, hey, yeah, it's more of the same, it's not working with Steve Kerr? Do the Warriors even know what they're looking for?
If they're going to trade Jonathan Kuminga, I can promise you it's not going to be for a bunch of guards. I don't believe it's going to be for a center. They're going to be looking for a guy in that same position simply because they don't have that type of position anymore. They got rid of Andrew Wiggins, and that was their 3-and-D wing. That was a guy that was a foundational piece. And yes, they replaced him with Jimmy Butler, who's a terrific player. But Butler's different from Wiggins in the sense that he's not going to take on those big-time defensive responsibilities late in his career as well as Wiggins could have. He's not the three-point shooter that Wiggins was during his all-star season. So that's what they wanted Jonathan Kuminga to be when they drafted him. They envisioned him being another Andrew Wiggins, but better, more athletic, more able to be a facilitator and ball handler, able to hold down the second unit when Steph or Draymond's not in the game and really be one of those guys. Has he shown flashes of that? Of course he has. Can he do it and sustain it over an 82-game season next to these stars? That's still the question that's unanswered, and that's why there's some uncertainty from the organization standpoint surrounding Jonathan Kuminga and why they were so hesitant during these negotiations to just say, you know what, we're going to give him what he wants. It was more of, no, he still needs time to develop. We don't know what he can be in this system, so it has to be something that goes both ways and gives us the option to move him if there's a trade that comes to light that makes sense for us. And what would that trade look like? It would have to be another forward in my mind. It has to be some kind of 3-and-D player that can be a complementary piece and a secondary piece next to Curry, Butler, and Green, because over the next 2 years, this season and then next year, the 26-27 season, that's the window for the Warriors right now. These guys are under contract for 2 years. After that, we don't know what this roster is going to look like. Maybe they'll bring everybody back for another year or two. Maybe they'll go in a different direction with Steph and Draymond, but it's really kind of one of those wait-and-see type things. So right now is their chance to win. They know that they have a roster that can compete, and we saw that during the second half of the year last season. We saw it in the playoffs. If Steph didn't get hurt with his hamstring injury, who knows how that Timberwolves series would have played out. So a lot of things that are still going the Warriors' way, and they still believe that they are a championship organization. So if they are to trade Jonathan Kuminga, it's going to be for a player or two that can come in, really help them achieve that championship goal. A guy like Trey Murphy or Herb Jones, obviously two guys that can play well on the wing, 3-and-D like players, that would be essential pieces in a Warriors system and fit in perfectly. So I think that's obviously the type of guys that you're looking at. But it really depends on who becomes available. And I'm looking at the Eastern Conference specifically. There's so many question marks of what these teams will look like come time for the trade deadline with how wide open it is. And I think that's going to play a major role in discussions with Kuminga.
Talking to Brett Siegel, NBA insider for Clutch Points. So, Brett, I was talking before you joined us, and I know I asked you this question before about if the Kings don't get Jonathan Kuminga now, it's going to be really hard for them. And you actually were a bit more optimistic as far as the Kings having an opportunity. But, Brett, I'm just looking around at this $24 million price point. It's tough for me to see based on what the Kings have, unless a third team gets involved, how, because we know, DeMar DeRozan making $24 million doesn't seem like right now, to your point, never know with injuries, that the Warriors were interested in a DeMar DeRozan. They weren't terribly interested in Malik Monk. We know they were interested in Keegan and Keon, but it's hard for me to see the Kings being in a good spot to make a trade for Kuminga in January, just based on that price point and other teams. That's why I asked you about his value and other teams being interested in Kuminga. Am I way off on that? Did the Kings' opportunity to acquire Kuminga, unless that's in free agency once this is all said and done, if they rip up the contract like Shams talked about, did the Kings kind of drop in their opportunity to add Jonathan Kuminga through trade, or am I way off on that?
It really depends on the timing, and interesting to bring up and talk about, especially from the Kings' point of view, because if the Kings are not in playoff contention come trade deadline time, I think it's pretty clear that they're going to become sellers. You're going to see Malik Monk possibly on the move. You're going to see DeMar DeRozan possibly on the move. And if they become sellers, they have that cap ability to then go out and get Jonathan Kuminga and experiment for the rest of the year and see how things work out. Now, if you look at it through the lens of a different team, maybe not the Kings, but some other team, let's say in the East, who is contending, and let's say they're in a similar cap situation as the Kings, where they're hard capped at the first apron, they can't really move many contracts. Would a contending team go out on a limb and move an essential piece to get Jonathan Kuminga? And I think the answer there is no. So really what we're looking at are teams that aren't living up to expectations, teams that are going to be selling before the trade deadline and take a chance on Jonathan Kuminga because he has that team option for next season. They wouldn't have a long-term commitment to him. They can basically bring him in for a trial, see how things go, make a decision on that team option, and then potentially have him for one more year during their rebuild or during their resurgence, in a way, as some teams describe it. But when we look at this strictly from a Kings perspective, I do agree with you. I think that it would be tough mid-season for them to acquire him at the trade deadline because you can't just move Malik Monk at that point. You'd probably have to move a guy like Devin Carter or Dario Saric too, given their cap situation and the fact that they're hard capped at that first apron. But come time for the offseason, things change because DeMar DeRozan, his deal's not fully guaranteed there. You could potentially move him or dump him. You have Malik Monk, who would be, I don't want to say easier to trade, but much easier to trade a guy that has 2 years left on his contract than 3. Right. Then you have Dennis Schroeder. Would he potentially be on the move after 1 year? So you have the ability to move money around a lot easier if you're the Kings in the offseason. And that's why I say that the ability to go out and pursue Kuminga next year, if he's in free agency or if the team option gets picked up by the Warriors, I think that it's still much easier for them to go out and get him next offseason compared to this offseason where their finances were kind of tied up from that first apron hard cap. They didn't have as good of assets to offer. Next season, they got expiring contracts. They could potentially get another team involved early on near the draft. So that's why I say I wouldn't count out the Kings just yet. They're going to be looking at this situation closely. There's still a love for Jonathan Kuminga within their organization. And I think that that's a player that they do have long-term plans for if they can potentially get their hands on.
Yeah, Brett, it sounds like to me what you're saying is the Kings have to survive through the Warriors' pipe dreams. If the Kings survive through the Warriors not being able to get a Trey Murphy or Giannis or Jokic, and then you're looking at, hey, now we're the Warriors. We're in a similar position where his contract is expiring. We might lose him for nothing. We can open it up. Because my fear is right now, the Warriors with this control, they're not moving Jonathan Kuminga for anybody on the Kings. That's my feeling on it. But if you make it through this season and they don't make a deal, because, Warriors fans all saying they're going to get Trey Murphy and all these guys. If you make it through this season and he's still on the Warriors, now the Warriors start saying, okay, well, there's not as many suitors as we thought. Let's open this thing back up again. And maybe it's a Keon and whatever the case is. That's how I'm understanding how you're kind of breaking it down.
Right. Like the ball's in the Warriors' court here, where they have this Jonathan Kuminga, in quotes, trade exception, and they have 4 months to decide. Is he going to be a part of their roster? Are they in a championship position? Or is it going to be much of the same of what we talked about this offseason, where things aren't working out? It's the same old story, and he wants to be on the move, and so they're going to possibly look to trade him when he becomes trade eligible January 15th. From that point, they have about 3.5, 4 weeks to figure out a deal before the trade deadline. And so that's really what this front office is going to be evaluating from now till the trade deadline is what players become available, what teams could Jonathan Kuminga possibly be on the move to. That would make sense for the Warriors to pursue a player that they have on their roster. And the second thing, or the third thing, is really out of the Warriors' control. It's just who's going to be available. Is a guy like Trey Murphy even available? Right. And everything that I've heard this offseason in terms of the Pelicans is that they have no desire to move him. So if that holds, and that's the case come February, no matter what the Warriors offer, they're not going to be giving up Trey Murphy. So you can cross that off, and then you could just go down the list of other teams. And, of course, I'm hypothetically speaking here. I'm not saying that Trey Murphy is never going to be on the move. It's just right now the Pelicans have signaled that they don't have desire to trade him. So if that holds, then the Warriors are kind of out of luck on that front, and they would have to go to plan B and go to plan C and plan D and whatever of what they have planned with Kuminga. And you can even look at this from another team that pursued Kuminga this offseason, signed trade talks. It wasn't just the Kings. You also had the Phoenix Suns, were another team, and they're kind of in the same waiting game as the Kings, where they don't have anything different to offer the Warriors before the trade deadline. It's still just Grayson Allen. It's still Royce O'Neal. It's still these contracts that the Warriors didn't want, just like with the Kings with Malik Monk. So if one of those teams are to re-engage in trade conversations to try to pursue Jonathan Kuminga, you're now talking about getting another team involved. And that's why it was essential for the Warriors to get Kuminga on this contract, because the sign and trade talks that happened this offseason were just 1-on-1s. It was one team and the Warriors. So now at the trade deadline, you have the optionality to get other teams involved that are in different cap situations, that are in different situations come time for the standings. They may go from a team that was buying this offseason to all of a sudden a team that sells before the trade deadline. So that's why it was important to get this contract done. You can now get other teams involved in. And if Kuminga is to be on the move right now, it's very early. It's October 1st. But if he is to be on the move, I feel fairly confident saying that would be a multi-team trade for sure.
Brett Siegel bringing the heat as always. Brett, thank you so much for joining us, National NBA insider and reporter for Clutch Points. Brett, you know we're going to do it again, and I can't wait to talk to you when that happens. Appreciate you, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Anytime, Alan. I appreciate it. Thanks.
On the other side, we will break down everything Brett had to say. Also, is Dennis Schroeder going to make more of an impact than any of us realize? Don't move. More Allen Stiles coming up next.
Staples presents That Was Easy.
So I'm a plumber and needed to get work in the door.
So business was going down the drain?
Yeah, I went to Staples. They printed yard signs, business cards, even flyers to leave at supply stores.
But at what cost, man?
Well, I saved $125 on my order, and now I'm booked solid. Boom!
Back at ya. For your business printing, Staples.
That was easy.
Now save up to $125 on custom print orders. Valid in-store and online. Ends 11/1. Exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for details.
Kohl's Friends and Family Sale is so good, you'll want to put your phone on Do Not Disturb. Yep, the only thing you're picking up is deals. Now through Sunday, take an extra 20% off all your fall favorites. From soft throws to slow cookers, warm flannels to cozy cardigans. Plus, earn $10 Kohl's cash for every $50 spent. So go ahead, let those notifications wait, because these prices won't. Select styles, some exclusions apply. 20% offer ends October 5th. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
For over 90 years, Hagen Oaks has partnered with the biggest brands in golf to bring cutting-edge technology to your game. Our one-of-a-kind total game fitting offers a level of experience and precision that is unmatched. From driver to putter, footwear to golf balls, our TrackMan-powered performance studios, 3D footwear scanner, and Ping's Ballnamic ball fitting kiosk ensure every piece of your gear is tailored to your swing. Trust the experts at the Hagen Oaks Golf Super Shop. Total game fitting starts here.
Hey everyone, it's Kyle Draper here. If you're in the market for a new car, let me tell you about my experience with Mercedes-Benz of Stockton. From the moment I walked into their state-of-the-art showroom, I knew I was making the right choice. There was no pressure from the sales staff, and if I'm being honest, I felt like a kid in a candy store. I settled on the all-electric EQS SUV, and let me tell you why. First of all, the comfort. After a long day at work, I actually look forward to being in my car. It has several different massage settings, including my favorite, hot relaxing back. Plus, the seat heating and cooling features are perfect for the hot summer or those chilly mornings. Mercedes-Benz has the reputation of making the finest cars in the world. Now it's your turn to experience what I already know. Mercedes-Benz of Stockton is the best car buying experience you'll ever have. They're just a short drive down I-5, or you can shop online anytime at mbfstockton.com. That's mbfstockton.com, and tell them Drape sent you.
If you love to drive or even not so much, take your car to the place with the magic touch. Big O. Big O Tires.
Trust the team with expertise that goes beyond just tires. Visit your locally owned Big O Tires. Now through October 19th, get $80 to $100 instant savings on 4 select in-stock Nitto, Nexen, or Toyo brand tires with installation purchase. Installation required. Disposal fees and shop fees. Extra work permitted. See store for pricing. Eligibility may vary. Not valid with other offers.
When I was a kid, I remember my dad, a lineman, leaving in the middle of the night. Families were depending on him to get their power back on to keep them safe and warm. Watching him taught me that this work isn't just about wires and circuits. It's about people and the trust they place in us when the lights go out. That's why I started Maverick Electric Heating and Air, to carry on that same promise of showing up, doing it right, and protecting families when they need us most. Visit callamaverick.com.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
Here's a tale of Becky. Didn't know what to do with new meds prescribed and no real cost clue.
She squinted at prices, that can't be right. Then tapped GoodRx and saw the light.
She could get a deal. Book telehealth if she feels.
Learn about those meds without any stress. That one little app does all the rest. Even my horse downloaded it. Dang, save time and money on prescriptions.
Check GoodRx. GoodRx is not insurance.
Allen Stiles
You can join the show by texting 916-339-1140.
on Sacktown Sports.
Thanks once again to Brett Siegel, who actually made me feel better about the situation for sure. Because, and we were talking about this during the break, Kyle. Basically, as DeMar called the season last season for the Sacramento Kings, basically you need it to be a bleep show, which is easy for the Kings because most Kings fans don't like the Warriors anyway. But you need this to go poorly. If Jonathan Kuminga comes in there, and it has to be like a specific type of poorly, right? Because if he comes in there and plays too well along with the Warriors, they might just keep him. If he plays very much like last season, if somebody gets hurt, if he's not playing, somebody gets hurt, Jimmy, whoever needs time.
Or he gets hurt.
Or whatever. No. I wouldn't say that. If he balls out, separate to the team, if you will, due to an injury, just like he did when Jimmy was out, I think that's a worst case scenario, or one of the worst case scenarios for the Kings, because that might excite some other teams. You need it to be very wonky, very awkward, and you need the Warriors to essentially not regret doing this deal, but be in a situation, because the Kings won't have the best offer. They won't. If somebody else really wants to go get him. And thank you to Brett Siegel, because he did make me feel better about, hey, we just don't know what Kuminga's value is. That's because it remains to be seen. We know how much he's getting paid, but we don't know if he goes out there and he's balling out separate to the team, if you will. Somebody might say, okay, we're going to go get him for $24 million. We got an older guy who more so fits the Warriors timeline. If he is balling out too well with the Warriors, then they might just keep him. We need this to be as wonky and as much of a bleep show as possible. And on the other side of it, I think the question just becomes, or do you just move on? Right? There's another draft coming. We got Tankathon coming up. You're going to get Darren Peterson. You're going to get DeBansa. You're going to get the good boozer. You're going to get one of them. And, hey, we tried. It didn't work out. We're going to move forward. That's the other part of this, because it does remain to be seen. But my initial thought is, if Kuminga has a decent amount of value, we know that the Warriors aren't terribly interested in what the Kings are selling, which was a good point from Brett, that this would probably be a 3-team deal anyway. What I've been hearing just in the Twitterverse, and it's pretty funny, I don't know if you've seen this either, Kyle, the Warriors could just go get and this was a team that was also interested in Kuminga briefly. The Warriors would just bring back that old thing, just like the Giants are trying to do with Bruce Bochy. The Warriors would just go get Andrew Wiggins, and which is hilarious, but he fits exactly what they want Kuminga to do, and he fits their timeline, and he knows their system. Now you don't have to worry about Jimmy Butler kind of being a hybrid in between the two. They just go get Andrew Wiggins.
Now that the money works,
yeah,
you can just send the Heat Kuminga, which they probably always should have had anyways.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, to your first point, though, we've been saying throughout Kuminga Watch that his best leverage is to make things ugly. Mm-hmm. If you are willing to make things ugly, you can force your way out of the place that you are at, because the team just doesn't want to deal with the headache anymore. They'll take less than what you are worth to get off of the headache. And that was always the case leading up to this qualifying offer deadline, is if he was willing to threaten to take the qualifying offer and make it so uncomfortable for the Warriors to bring him back into that locker room, that was the leverage play to get out of there on the qualifying offer. But now it seems like even if he were to make it ugly, he's probably not going to end up on Sacramento because other teams now have an easier path to trade for him because of the salary slot and because of the restrictions that Brett was kind of outlining over the summer. It's harder to make trades than at the deadline. So while you're right, there might be a very specific kind of ugly to get him in a trade to Sacramento for the Malik Monk and draft picks package, or Malik Monk and Devin Carter rerouted to a third team, whatever it is. It's slim to none that scenario is going to happen, or that the team that's giving the Warriors what they want doesn't want Kuminga. It's just like, hey, yeah, you can take Kuminga and we'll take Malik Monk in your draft picks instead of us getting a 22-year-old power forward who scores 20 points per game.
Yeah, I'm looking here, and I just fired up Spot Track quickly, and I'm looking here as far as just straight up money working. You got John Collins, and some of these are averages a little bit, but Anthony Simons, I don't see the Warriors. That's not what they need. Yeah. They got too many guards.
We can bring this up early. I had this for 12:32, but there's like a list of 12 that make reasonable sense.
Yeah, and with the Kings, you'd be forcing the issue, but the Anthony Simons of the world, the Nick Claxtons of the world, and Brett Siegel said he doesn't think they'd go get a big. Obviously, the John Collins is actually kind of interesting, but again, just depends on what the Kings want. What the Warriors want. Mikal Bridges, your boy Kyle Kuzma, guys like the DeAndre Hunters of the world. So, yeah, we'll get into that in the 12 o'clock hour even more. And maybe it's not – look, there are a lot of Kings fans that didn't want Jonathan Kuminga. So, sometimes, what's for you? What is it? Parents always tell you, my mom, what's for you is for you, right? What's for you is for you. And maybe this is a blessing in disguise for the Kings, because they got bigger fish to fry once we run that tankathon, and they're getting a top 3 pick anyway. You can give them more runway. And, get to bring the focus back to the Beam team and Keegan Murray and what they're trying to do with Keegan Murray and obviously Keon Ellis and Nick Clifford, maybe going about it this way. And kudos to the Kings for seeing what was out there. If you have an opportunity to get a 22-year-old with a high ceiling and great potential, you go through the motions and you see what's popping and can you make it happen. But now that it hasn't happened, as Scott Perry said on the show on Media Day on Monday, not that they fully turned the page, he didn't say that, but I'm happy with who we have in camp and everybody right now. I think most teams, and that's why that Timberwolves Knicks trade was so random, because that happened a year to the date tomorrow. But most teams are prepared to go into the season with a lot of hope, have that hope be crushed fairly early, but right now they have that hope, and that's where they're at.
Yeah, and who's the specific team in a specific situation where they're like, we will give up a current piece of our core to add Jonathan Kuminga and give Jonathan Kuminga that runway? Mm-hmm. The Kings were a very specific kind of situation, and the Suns were willing to do it because, quite frankly, the Suns, like the Kings, have 7,000 guards, and we're just like, you want Royce O'Neal? Fine. But you could get a Washington, you could get Miami, like Siegel mentioned, maybe an Indiana who tries to say, hey, the season's a wash, let's bring in a young forward for Obi Toppin or whatever. I don't know.
Hey now.
You can find more situations that make sense for Kuminga if you open up the rest of the league.
If the Warriors got Obi Toppin, I'd be crushed.
Well, good news for you. He's on a 4-year contract, so the Warriors won't touch it.
I would be absolutely crushed. On the other side, will Dennis Schroeder make that big of a deal? One of the huge takeaways in just day 2 here of the 2025-2026 season. Everyone is very high on Dennis Schroeder. Should we be too? More Allen Stiles Show coming up.
Do Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms keep coming back? Tremfya, guselkumab, may help, with rapid remission achieved at 12 weeks and lasting clinical remission at 1 year. Some even saw visible improvement of their intestinal lining at 12 weeks and 1 year. Tremfya is a prescription medicine used to treat adults with moderately to severely active Crohn's disease and adults with moderately to severely active ulcerative colitis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Healing is possible with Tremfya. Approximately 3 out of 10 patients were in endoscopic remission at 1 year, based on areas visualized on colonoscopy, which may not represent the deeper bowel layer or entire GI tract. Individual results may vary. Ask your doctor about Tremfya today. Call 1-800-526-7736 to learn more or visit tremfyaradio.com.
Carmichael Dave here for my friends at American Energy Heating and Air. Yes, I always tell you they are a family-owned operation, been in business since 81, A-plus Better Business Bureau, but it is hot. We are in those Sacramento hot months. I want to focus on them being your second opinion partner. What does that mean? Maybe you've got somebody you're working with or you've worked with in the past in the HVAC world. Guess what? They want to give you a second opinion. How much does it cost? Nothing. Nothing. You call them up and say, hey, can I get a second opinion on this deal? They come out and they either say, wow, that's a great deal, you should feel better about that, or they say, we can beat that price, and usually they're going to beat it by a lot. Guess what? You just saved money, and it didn't cost you anything to find out. It's a no-lose situation. Go with a trusted company. American Energy, 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990, or AmericanEnergyAir.com. Jingle Singers, take it away.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
It's Laramie the Golden Retriever with Vince Bloom the Big Guy.
The weather's getting cooler, but at Folsom Lake Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram, the deals are hotter than ever.
How do you mean, Vince?
It's the Drive Into Fall event, and prices are falling like leaves on every Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram in stock. Listen.
During the Drive Into Fall event at Folsom Lake Dodge, save over $6,500 net savings off MSRP on a new 2025 Jeep Wrangler 2-door Sport. That's over 17% off.
And I've got 5 at this hot deal.
Or rustle up over $10,000 off a new 2025 Jeep Grand Cherokee Limited. Over 19% off.
The Drive Into Fall at Folsom Lake Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Even Laramie knows now is the time for a deal. Right, Laramie?
At Folsom Lake Dodge.
To the Folsom Auto Mall and online at FolsomLakeDodge.com.
Wrangler includes $44.85 dealer discount plus $2,000 in national retail bonus cash. VIN SE 658348. Grand Cherokee includes $45.25 dealer discount plus $5,500 in national retail loyalty and select inventory bonus cash. VINs S 866-7701, 629-387, 6694-58. See dealer for details. Expires 9/30/25.
For over 90 years, Hagen Oaks has partnered with the biggest brands in golf to bring cutting-edge technology to your game. Our one-of-a-kind total game fitting offers a level of experience and precision that is unmatched. From driver to putter, footwear to golf balls, our TrackMan-powered performance studios, 3D footwear scanner, and Ping's Ballnamic ball fitting kiosk ensure every piece of your gear is tailored to your swing. Trust the experts at the Hagen Oaks Golf Super Shop. Total game fitting starts here.
With 25 award-winning years in Northern California, Ashton & Price is your local injury law firm. Pro attorney tip: if a firm presents as local but they're in LA, red flag. If your first consultation is not with a lawyer, big red flag. At Ashton & Price, your first consult is with a local attorney, and if serious injury prevents travel, a lawyer will come to you. Still not enough? George Washington's my uncle. At Ashton & Price, no red flags, just red, white, and blue.
Remember, for the best advice, don't think twice. Call Ashton and Price.
Get ready for 2 epic showdowns of Monster Truck Madness at the Stockton Dirt Track, Saturday, October 4th. Feel the roar, the power, and the ground-pounding action. 2 shows, 2 p.m. and 7 p.m. Do you have what it takes to survive the madness? Get your tickets now at StocktonDirtTrack.com.
Allen Stiles. Watch the show on youtube.com/Sacktown Sports 1140.
Or listen on the Sacktown Sports app.
In 15 minutes, we have our Keon Ellis interview for you. And did the Kings do the right thing by possibly letting Keon hit free agency? And Keon also talks about the fact that they did pick up the option and how he is approaching that. So that's coming up at 12. I've talked to Keon a couple times now, and he's huge. I got in my questions on different video games because he's a huge gamer. And even though I'm not, I know he's really into it. And some listeners said that you've even played him in video games and things like that. So very open about that. But this was one of, as far as the basketball piece is concerned, one of the more open conversations. And like I said, transparency, one of the more transparent conversations as Keon is growing in his career, one of the more transparent conversations that I've had with Keon Ellis. And he kind of, like I said, he didn't say the words. I wish they would have just extended me and, not picked up the option, but he says it in so many words. So really excited to share that with you from Media Day if you weren't able to catch it. So that's coming up in 15 minutes. All right, Dennis Schroeder. So much is making more sense to me now that I hear everyone in the Kings organization gushing over Dennis Schroeder. I said earlier that they're talking as if this is, and we can compare the stats, they're talking as if this is, I'm not going to say prime CP3, but I would say Oklahoma City CP3. Everybody is so excited. Doug Christie, Scott Perry. And now that I hear them talking, it makes a lot more sense as far as the belief that they have in him, the commitment that they made to him, and why they felt like it was worth it to move off a guy like Jonas Valanciunas in order for it to happen. Feels like they think Dennis Schroeder might be one of the most underrated players in the league. That's how they're talking about Dennis Schroeder. And I'll never forget the text line, the call line at 916-339-1140 if you want to talk about the end of the Kuminga Saga, ... for now, or Dennis Schroeder, any of your Kings talk. We'll get into the NFL in the 1 o'clock hour because I got some things to say about Shador and the Niners and the Raiders. But when you look at Dennis Schroeder and what he's done, they truly think that this guy is going to turn things around for them. And I'm not saying whether they're right or wrong, but we got texts all the time. I'm not going to call anybody out. We got the new text line now, so we can save your numbers and give you funny nicknames and things like that. But at least once a day, when we did the point guard search, somebody typed in no Dennis Schroeder. And I do wonder, when it comes to the bad PR and our all first team, all bad PR, whether it's Karl Anthony Towns and other guys like that, is it all just from him tricking off that whatever $1 million from the Lakers and him getting looked at a little bit differently and kind of becoming a meme, if you will? Because as much as I didn't think that the Kings would be gushing over him this much, I also was a bit surprised at how much Kings fans, and maybe it's what he represented. It's kind of like getting a Geno Smith or a Sam Darnold. You're just not as excited as getting a brand new, the kid from Florida, getting a young point guard, something like that. Maybe that was part of it too. But so many Kings fans did not want Dennis Schroeder. And it is fascinating to hear to read all those texts and to hear from all those listeners and viewers of the show, and now hear how high the Kings are on Dennis Schroeder.
So I don't want to oversell what Dennis Schroeder is going to bring to the Kings, because the market is telling you the Kings paid him below average salary for a starting point guard, and most people believe it was an overpay.
Right.
And not by a lot. They were just like...
And it's an overpay based on having to move off of Jonas Valanciunas and guys like that. Maybe not in its purest form.
Yes. Adding Dennis Schroeder and Dario Saric for Jonas Valanciunas, and, they increased payroll by $9 million.
Right.
$9 million they could have given to Keon Ellis and got through his free agency process early. Most people agreed it was a bit of an overpay. So I don't want to oversell it like, oh, these people just don't know. Because the market was telling you below average point guard. Maybe he's point guard 27 or 28 or 29 in the league, but it's still better than what Sacramento had before. But at the same time, he's going to be given 31 minutes a game and be playing closing minutes. So that's an opportunity Dennis Schroeder hasn't had, since I guess, sorry, not including those games on Brooklyn earlier this year where Brooklyn was just trash.
It's been game to game.
Yeah, it's been game to game, and it's been situation to situation as he's gone. He talked a lot about how tough the last 2 years have been playing for 5 different teams, basically. So it's going to be a situation he hasn't been in 2 or 3 years since he tricked off all that money with the Lakers, and I guess we'll see if he's still that same player he was when he said, no, thank you, I don't want $84 million from the Lakers.
Yeah, and the idea of being in your prime, it changes so much, right? I remember, feels like when I was growing up or maybe when I was in college, your prime was what? Late 20s, 29 to about 32, if you will. Now it feels like the prime has moved up because all these kids are coming out of the college ranks early. You had the G League Ignite for a little bit, but Dennis Schroeder is 32. So it's a 3-year deal and it's 2 years with an option. So he's got at least 2. And I know somebody said, well, his game is based on quickness and speed. Yeah, but he's not. This ain't Russell Westbrook, right? This is not De'Aaron Fox. You don't think of Dennis Schroeder as this guy who's just flying up and down the court, Ja Morant. So even though he is 32 and his birthday's in September. So he just turned 32. He's a young 32.
We did celebrity birthday for him.
There you go. So he's still got at least 2 more years, I think, at a decent clip of his prime. And with that being said, how they're talking about Dennis Schroeder makes me think that they want to utilize him the same way that Team Germany utilized him in Eurobasket, where he was an MVP. This is the Dennis Schroeder show a little bit, and I have those stats for you as he won MVP. So he was playing 29 minutes a game. He scored 20.3 points per game.
In 40-minute games, too.
In 40-minute games. 46% from the field, okay? 32% from 3. Would like to see that higher, sure. 87% from the free throw line. So that's kind of where he was at as far as scoring the basketball. And obviously, I think he was at 7 assists a game as well. How does that translate? Obviously, Eurobasket is not the NBA, but I do think they want to more so mimic. This is we are heavy on Dennis Schroeder. And now, Kyle, I got a new job for you as we're talking about Dennis Schroeder. Who's the last guy to kind of reinvigorate his career somewhere in the NBA? And you might know some off the top of your head, but the way they're talking about Dennis, and I'm not saying he's going to be an all-star, but instead of being the 29th ranked point guard, maybe he's talked about in the top 20 at the end of this season. So that's not a crazy jump. It's not a crazy jump of going from 5 threes a game to 10 for Keegan Murray. So who's the last guy to do something like that? I'm trying to think off the top of my head as well. And I guess if you're doing it's kind of different than the most improved thing, because even young guys get most improved, because I was going to say Norman Powell, if you will.
That's a good one. I think of like Terry Rozier on the Hornets. Remember when like they got rid of Kemba Walker and then brought him in, and it was like,
scary,
oh wow,
Terry time. And funny enough, guess how old Norman Powell is?
32?
32 years old.
Yeah. Norman Powell is a really good shout now that I think about it.
Did it on a winning team.
Yeah, someone who was kind of in that 6th man role on really good teams and then kind of was a floating starter a little bit. KCP on the Nuggets is probably a good example of this too.
I like that.
Yeah, where he kind of found a role. There's probably others. You know what's actually funny is that Dennis Schroeder has kind of done this before. Where if you remember the second time he went back to the Lakers, which was the year the Lakers did that like conference finals run randomly with Darvin Ham and all of them.
Yeah. He
was kind of like hey, we need someone to replace Westbrook kind of option. And he came in, he had 12.5 points per game, 4.5 assists, shot 33% from 3, decent point guard production, but it kind of stabilized a super unstable situation that the Lakers had when it was Russ and AD and LeBron all together.
Yeah, it's a good point. And you talk about, I compared him to a Sam Darnold or a Geno Smith, hopefully Geno Smith, that first year in Seattle. The first year, he got an opportunity to ball out, and Sam Darnold with the Vikings. Then you can look at it like a stopgap more so. And it's kind of what this whole team is. If we're keeping it 1,000, if we're keeping it 100, that's kind of what the team is.
They know it too because
They do. Transparency.
Schroeder's got a 2-year contract. Well, it's a 3-year contract, but it's basically a team option. There's like $1 million guaranteed in the 3rd year.
Yeah.
So it's basically everyone knows it.
And it can be a fun stopgap. Now, when it comes to the Tankathon, I don't want them to be that much fun because I don't want them to trick off the future of the Kings, but it could be a fun stopgap. I'm okay with that.
You just don't want them to be 9 through 10 or 9 through 12.
Just don't do that.
Yeah.
Just don't do that.
If you're the 9 seed through the 12, you either got to be 13 or 8.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be 13. I'll be honest with you.
No, then don't be 10.
I thought Tankathon. I thought I had them at 12.
Oh, sorry. We're doing seed, not pick. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in the Tankathon, you don't want them to be 7 through 12 in the lottery, basically, or 7 through 14 in the lottery.
Right. So, yeah, man, I think they're trying to convince us that Dennis Schroeder is really going to be that guy. And I'm not saying whether they're right or wrong. It's just fascinating to hear them talk about Dennis Schroeder. And you know who's been on this, to be completely honest with you? I've been talking to my guy a decent bit lately, Chris Watkins. Chris Watkins, when this deal was first done, Chris Watkins said, look, man, he's not one of these elite point guards, but if you really watch Dennis Schroeder play, he is a baller. And Chris kind of saw the writing on the wall for why the Kings were so excited about this. I don't know how it will come to fruition, but Chris had said, I do think that there are some Kings fans out there, paraphrasing here, kind of sleeping on Dennis Schroeder and what he can bring to the crew. And we shall see about that. Well, nobody's sleeping on Keon Ellis. Let's hear from Ellis Island when we return. What do you have to say to the Allen Stiles Show, myself, as we had a really, really good open conversation with Keon on Media Day. Don't move. More Allen Stiles Show coming up.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Allen Stiles here with your Sacktown Sports Injury Report, brought to you by DTLA Law Group. Zach Geloff, out with that dislocated left shoulder, underwent successful surgery in Los Angeles in late September. Should be fully recovered and expected to return in 2026. Left-handed pitcher Sean Newcomb felt left elbow inflammation and unfortunately is out with the rest of the season after feeling tightness in his left elbow following his most recent outing. That was your Sacktown Sports Injury Report, brought to you by DTLA Law Group. Hey, I'm Allen Stiles. Injured at work? Call downtown. DTLA Law Group, California's leading injury law firm. With over 40 lawyers throughout California, they have won over $500 million in settlements. DTLA Law Group will get you compensation for your work injury. You don't pay unless they win. That's right. You pay zero up front. Call downtown. Text injury help to 40222. That's injury help to 40222. Visit them at calldowntown.com. Text charges may apply.
For over 90 years, Hagen Oaks has partnered with the biggest brands in golf to bring cutting-edge technology to your game. Our one-of-a-kind total game fitting offers a level of experience and precision that is unmatched. From driver to putter, footwear to golf balls, our TrackMan-powered performance studios, 3D footwear scanner, and Ping's Ballnamic ball fitting kiosk ensure every piece of your gear is tailored to your swing. Trust the experts at the Hagen Oaks Golf Super Shop. Total game fitting starts here.
KHD HD1 Sacramento, KYMX HD3 Sacramento.
Your home for Kings basketball for over 25 seasons.
Hammer time thrown down by the league. From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios.
Sacktown Sports, 1140. Live and local.
It's Allen Stiles
on Sacktown Sports.
We have our conversation with Keon Ellis, and again, this is our top of the hour segment, so it's 30 minutes, no commercials. And the reason I say that is because I thought about something, and I know people say, Allen, enough with the Kuminga stuff. I do have one more piece of this that connects to Keon Ellis as far as whether or not the Kings are able to retain Keon or if they lose him in free agency. Would that make you feel differently about how they approached the negotiations and whether Keon should have been available in those talks? Let's hear from Keon.
And we are joined by the one, the only lockdown guard for the Sacramento Kings. Keon Ellis joins us. Keon, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, no problem, no problem.
Now, I know you do a lot of different interviews, as we all do, but we actually had a conversation last media day, okay, and at that time I had asked you just how things had kind of changed because you went from being a two-way guy, and then towards the end of the season, obviously, you were on the team and you had kind of said, hey, thank you to Stockton, but I'm going to spend my time in Sacramento. Now, here you are. This is basically how my math is. This is basically the second season as an everyday guy, if you will, in the NBA. How has life changed for you, if at all?
I don't think it's changed much. I think, everything that I'm doing is pretty much still on the same schedule.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say that there's too much of a change, but it's funny that you say that because I look at it as more so. You said a year two. I'm looking at it as a year three.
Right.
So yeah. But on the same page. In that sense.
Yeah. And the other thing, when we spoke last season, again, finding your footing, and now you already know that you belong, and now you've shown it time and time again. Something that we spoke about was your playmaking. Now, I do follow you on social media. I don't need to follow back. I know you got a lot, but I know there's a lot of people out there. But I do follow you on social media, and I was watching some of your workout videos, and it looked like there was more of an emphasis on not just playmaking, but offensively kind of taking a step, if you will, to get to your spot and to kind of develop more of a repertoire to offensively say, hey, I'm going to go get something on my own. Has that been a focus for you, or what have you been focusing on this summer?
I mean, a little bit just because, year after year, teams are getting more used to your game and all that. So, I mean, I think I've seen it like at first, like I was getting wide open shots, a lot of wide open shots to have to prove myself. And then after that, it was like, okay, he can shoot. So now they're chasing over screens and stuff like that. They're running at me. And then so I think, just the next step of things is to just, if I do get ran off and, and they're staying home and they're not helping, like, you have to be an option to make something happen. So definitely worked on that during the summer. And I mean, I think that's the time to work on that just because that's when, you work on those things to help the team out. And, then when everyone comes together, then that's more of a team-style basketball anyway. So more of a situation of better to have it and not need it. So.
Talking to Keon Ellis. Now, Keon, as we've discussed the evolution of your career earlier this summer, the Kings picked up your option, and now that could mean that you hit free agency at the end of the season. How has that been for your kind of thought process and something that you maybe haven't dealt with before, if you will? How has that process been, and how has that kind of shaped how you're going into this season, if at all? Are you just, hey, we're going to deal with that when we deal with it? How's that been for you?
I mean, it would have been nice, but I mean, it didn't happen. So not too much you can really do on it. But I mean, I think my approach to the season is still be the same Keon that I am, do what I do. And, I know that everything will take care of itself.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the approach, I mean, I do know though that every year, like, a little bit more is expected of you. So, I mean, I do expect to do more things, but I mean, mindset-wise, I do feel like I'm still coming in and being Keon Ellis. So,
speaking of being Keon Ellis, there's been a lot of conversation about the prototypical type of player these days, right? And it's, you got your star, you got your big man, and the rest of the dudes you got to defend at a high level and you got to shoot the three ball at a high level. And a lot of people have been saying Keon kind of fits this new age role player, if you will, to a T. Do you look at it like that? Do you look around at the other guys, the Jaden McDaniels and guys like that? Do you say, not to maybe use them as a comparison, but do you say, okay, cool, the Timberwolves, they're balling, right? Seems like OKC got about 7 of them on that team. Do you look at that and say, hey, this is kind of the role that I've carved out and I want to be kind of the best version of myself? Do you look at yourself in that space?
Oh, for sure. I mean, just because I don't think I'll ever be the guy to, be asked to score 25 a night. So it's like, what is your role? And I think that's the role that kind of got me on the scene. And, I think just perfecting that role. Because, I mean, like, at every other level, like, I was more so a scorer first. So then, coming into this setting where all you're mostly being asked to do is to defend and to shoot the ball, like, that's very easy. Like, it's just to shoot the ball. So, yeah, I mean, perfecting that role is definitely, like, something that I really do take pride in because that's my job. So to come out and do that at a high level is what I look forward to doing.
And it's interesting, there have been so many clips. I think I saw Coach Bobby Jackson talking to the crew at Rico Hines and some of the younger players. Seems like there's more of an emphasis on, hey, you got to find a role and stick to it. Does it feel like that has changed when you were at Alabama and maybe at that time maybe you personally always knew I'm going to have to fit into a role, but it feels like there's a new emphasis just around the league of, hey, we need y'all to stop trying to get into your bag all the time, like Mark Jones would say, and there's only going to be a couple 2 bag work dudes on the team. The rest of y'all go defend and go shoot threes. Feels like there's more of an emphasis on that. I don't know, the last 3 or 4 years.
I mean, yeah, I think even when we were working out, I mean, Julius Randle kind of said the same thing after we got done playing. And I mean, he kind of, like you said, his early years on, like in his career, that wasn't his role. Later on, that it changes. So, but I think for a guy like me, with that being my role, to just, accept it, like, that's, I don't take any slight in it. I mean, it is what it is, and that's what I'm here to do. So, but I mean, that's literally my focus, and I know that's what's going to make me stick. So I don't see anything wrong with that approach, and I think younger guys should probably take that approach.
Keon Ellis, before we get you out of here, I always ask you about. I told you, right? I've got one more year of big bro. Okay, next year I will be Unk. Okay, so I already sound like it, I know, but the newest gaming situation you got out there, I know you got the gamer tag, I know you're a big gamer. What game are you playing right now?
Mostly I've been playing 2K26.
Okay.
2K26, I still get on Fortnite a little bit.
Yeah.
I've been off of Call of Duty for a little while, but those are probably like my top 3.
Were you okay with your ranking for 2K?
I mean, honestly, I never really care about the rating because, like, I don't play with the Kings. Like, I don't play, like, play now games. I literally just go make my own character. So, like, all I need is, like, my face scan, my NBA logo, and I'll handle the rest. Like, the ratings, I literally never played, like you would never come to my house and we'll be playing 2K against each other. Like, so it doesn't matter to me.
Keon Ellis, thank you so much for joining us. Hey, good luck in your real career. Good luck in your my career in 2K. And we'll talk to you again soon, man.
Keon Ellis. Great stuff from Keon Ellis, as always. And as we were talking about the latest to happen with the Warriors and Jonathan Kuminga with the Kings, it made me think about Keon because in that interview with Keon, he said, it would have been nice, right? I believe that was the quote. It would have been nice, as he's referring to if they had landed on that extension at that time with the Kings declining. And at the very least, he would have had restricted free agency, which is interesting because so many players don't want restricted free agency. Again, I think it depends on who you are, right? Jonathan Kuminga, 7th pick overall versus a Keon Ellis, battling his undrafted, battling his way from being a two-way, 2 different situations and how you look at things. I found this from our guy, friend of the show, Keith Smith from Spa Track. And this was from right after Summer League. He spoke with someone, a source close to the situation, and this was about Keon Ellis, right? That's the goal. Quote, we had a lot of discussion on the best way to handle things with Keon and the option we had for him. Ultimately, it's a show of trust that we picked up his option instead of making him a restricted free agent. That helped us add some talent this year that we might not have been able to get otherwise. ... Dennis Schroeder as well, another part of that. Now, we hope to get something done that keeps Keon in Sacramento because he's a really good player and different from all of our other guards, a Sacramento front office executive said. So this is a long to-do list, and this is why I think that the Jonathan Kuminga thing, Scott Perry, honestly surprising that it went this long because they have a lot of fish to fry as far as the Kings are concerned. They got Keon's extension. They have Keegan Murray's extension as well. Those are two big decisions, and Scott Perry obviously is kind of keeping his cards close to the vest. He's not Monty McNair, but close to his vest as well as far as what they want to do with these two guys. They're also saying, we'd love to get something done. Now, that's what GMs say, but I think they would love to get something done because if you're looking at Keon Ellis, who's going to be unrestricted, at least Keegan would be restricted. Keon Ellis would be unrestricted, and my question would be, well, if you don't get to or come to an extension with Keon Ellis and you end up losing him for nothing, and now where you're at in the Kuminga conversation is different because you weren't able to make it done, then what was the point in that, back and forth that I had throughout this whole couple month-long process about Jonathan Kuminga? What was the point of making Keon Ellis untouchable? What was the point of making him untouchable if you weren't sure you were going to be able to get something done and keep him in Sacramento? Because if you lose Keon and now there are more suitors interested in Kuminga, that doesn't really make any sense to me.
Well, then you have to pivot to somebody else, right? If they're willing to let Keon walk in free agency, which we're not saying is the case, but if you're if you're Keon, wow, a lot of Ks.
A lot of Ks.
If you're Keon, barring injury, your best bet is to play this out until free agency. There's legal tampering that goes on before, but play it out to the end of the season, go into free agency, and see what the market says you're worth. There's no reason to sign the extension in Sacramento unless it's like, I don't care what the market is, I'm happy with whatever Sacramento offers kind of situation, which I would not do if I were him.
Well, him and his agent are going to talk. They're going to see how obviously they're going to see how the season goes. It's going to be later in the season when they can offer him that extension. So different to Keegan, who they have to sign before the season starts, different situation for Keon. So with that being said, they can assess the situation, whether or not Keon's having a really good season. I think Keon, that's what's so funny about it. Keon didn't want it to come to this. He would have rather just stayed in Sacramento, stayed under contract. This is the team that believed in him. But yeah, if it turns out that Keon takes a leap, whether that be big or small, he's handling the basketball, he's creating for himself, and he's still defending at a high level, and you're the Kings, depending on we don't know what's going to happen with Keegan Murray, you're starting to enter a monetary world when you're talking about the luxury tax where the Kings have not entered. And what we've heard is that Mr. Vivek doesn't necessarily want to enter. So there are some decisions to be made. And that's why that's why I was so surprised. If they had not picked up the option from Keon, I would have been less surprised that they never included him in talks with Kuminga because they picked it up. And if, depending on things go, Keon has a level of power here now where you can offer him an extension. He doesn't have to take it the same way you can offer Keegan an extension. He doesn't have to take it. Two different situations with restricted and unrestricted. That's really interesting to me how they decided to go about it. And would people look at it differently if they end up losing Keon, which they obviously hope won't be the case?
Yeah, although I will say it does bring up an interesting flip side of that coin, which we talked about with Chris and Kayla last week, which is because they want to play this out, the Kings do.
Yeah.
But if we get to the trade deadline and this thing isn't going the way they want it to go, and maybe Keon doesn't have the same role he had 2 years ago or last year, he is perhaps one of the most valuable trade pieces at this deadline because of the contract, right? And every team in the league has a $2.3 million trade exception that they could throw in with a first-round pick to get Keon Ellis. We talked about the Anthony Blacks and, maybe a first-round pick down the line or something else that maybe the Kings try and trade for, but that becomes way more valuable to a contending team up against the aprons, having a rotation player making $2.3 million.
With that being said, you're assuming the Pascal Siakam thing, Keon says, I will sign an extension with you. Because you're not going to give up a first rounder to lose Keon, a rental.
Depending on the team. I mean, if it's going to be...
No.
I'm saying if you're a team who knows they're going to be a top 8 team and you know that pick is going to be between 22 and 30 this year, then it's more likely. I mean, you're not giving up a 2031 unprotected pick for him, but if you're giving up, let's say, I'm just going to pick a team here. Let's say you're the Nuggets,
right?
And you have your own first round pick, which I don't think they do, but a team like that who has who is going to be one of the top 30 or top 8 teams in the league and going to be a high pick, that makes it more likely to give up that pick for a rental. If I could look up the Tankathon and see who has it right here. I'm sure the Thunder have 8,000 picks. If the Thunder are like, we'll take Keon for pick 29 in the draft, then it's more likely to do it as a rental than guaranteeing an extension.
Yeah, and I'm also looking here, and again, this is more of the hang around thing versus the start from scratch, because that would be the argument. I don't want to move Keon to hang around. I don't think I would want to move Keon in a way, like you said, a pick, and we did that exercise before I went on break, to start from scratch with the 18th overall, something like that. Because I'm looking here based on the money and what Keon would probably get if Cooper Flagg starts to ball out and you have PJ Washington on that 4 or 5 year deal, that could work. That's something I wouldn't want to do now, because if you're moving off of Keon, I don't want to really get older. I'd rather get younger and just get picks. But money-wise, that would work. If the Mavs say we need to do a little bit more defensively, Cooper Flagg is just playing way more than PJ Washington, and Keon's going to get signed to a similar contract. We're willing to pay Keon that. That could work, but that's not something that I would want. I'm done with the John Collins. I'm done with the PJ Washingtons. That ship has sailed. The only way I want to go is backwards, right? or the only way I want to go is Benjamin Button, is younger. I do not want to hang around, get older. I don't want to sound bad. I don't want to improve this roster. I don't want to improve this roster.
I don't want to try.
No, I do not want to improve this roster in the immediate time frame. I don't want to do that.
Well, and this is the thing that we've talked about with Keon hitting unrestricted free agency, right? Because let's say he gets to free agency and they do sign him to a long-term extension. At that point, you would still have Zach LaVine, you would still have DeMar DeRozan and everything like that. If he gets that long-term deal, what are we doing with Devin Carter? What are we doing with Nick Clifford? These guys all are jockeying for the same kinds of roles.
Okay, well, I'm not going to get caught up on that, but Nick will be fine.
Neek's going to be okay.
Neek is a little bigger, a little thicker, a little more muscle milk.
Than Devin, but not Keon.
Than Keon.
I mean, Keon's what, 6'5"?
Keon is not 6'5".
Are we sure?
You can find him listed there somewhere.
Basketball Reference says 6'6".
Who?
Keon. Basketball Reference says 6'6", 175.
Stop that. How tall am I on Basketball Reference? I mean, I need to get myself on Basketball Reference.
Basketball Reference, if Keon's 6'6", you're what, 5'11"?
Hey, man, that's a beautiful day. I tell you what, I'm going to go home and say, what's up, babe? I look a little different today, don't I? Look a little bit different today, don't I?
She'll say, are you 5'8"?
No, she will not. That's crazy. 6'6".
They've got him listed at 6'6".
No, you got to find that. Go to the Sacramento Kings page. I've never heard that. I don't see redundancy with Keon and Nick Clifford. Nick Clifford is bigger. Nick Clifford can handle the ball better. Nick Clifford can create better offensively. On the flip side, I think Keon is better defensively.
The Kings website says 6'4".
Okay.
So somebody's lying.
Well, I'm sending one. I get that one media guide. I'm sending that to everybody. If I'm Keon, you can only look me up on Basketball Reference. That's
Basketball Reference says 6'6".
That's all you can. That's the only place you can find me.
That's what they're sending to teams on medical forms.
So you look 1 inch, 2 inch, green inch, blue inch. I don't.
Hey now.
Contract is what it's no problem. It's no problem. You sign Keon if he's still down to stay, and that's pretty much it. As far as the others, if you will, yeah, Devin Carter and Keon are redundant. Devin Carter, I think Nick Clifford is a little bit different than Keon and Devin Carter. Now, look, from the Sacramento, the front office executive who spoke with Keith Smith, he said we don't have anybody else like Keon. Now, they just brought Nick into the fold, but we do know that, yeah, that would be the end of Devin Carter, but it could have been the end of Devin Carter this season. He's been in trade talks. So I don't see enough redundancy to worry about keeping Keon and Nick. I've signed Keon and you sign Nick. I don't see an issue there. There's no problem.
Yeah, and in fairness, we haven't seen Nick play yet, but we anticipate he'll be more of a 3.
I think he's more Jake LaRavie,
Jake LaRavie.
Yeah, than Keon. That's what I see.
Butter situation.
Oh man, and I don't want to. When seeing him in the gold and purple is going to be disgusting.
Yeah, Jake LaRavie on the Lakers is going to be tough.
Just absolutely disgusting.
People kind of moved on fast from him. I feel like we haven't heard much Jake LaRavie. Like, oh, if they had just kept Jake LaRavie. It seems like everyone's kind of moved on from that.
Do you think there is any thought process as far as the Kings even initially maybe having second thoughts, and maybe not yet because we don't know what Kuminga's value is going to be, but now that the qualifying offer didn't happen, do you think there's anybody in that organization thinking, definitely not Keegan, but is there anybody in that organization thinking maybe we should have just offered Keon?
That's tough because they wouldn't have been able to get Schroeder, so they would have had to have traded for a point guard somewhere. I don't know. Again, I don't know who that would have been.
I'm saying after they already have Schroeder on the squad.
So
I'm saying this whole conversation when it was Malik in a first.
Yeah.
Right. And that money matching.
Oh,
and everything
I'm
went
sorry.
down.
You're saying should we have offered Keon for Kuminga?
That's what I'm saying. Now that they know how it ended. And now that they see Kuminga at a $24 a year price point, we don't know what that value is going to be. But is there anybody in there thinking, all right, we got to sign Keon? Keon could say no, and we could lose Keon for nothing.
Yeah, Keon would have been an interesting fit on the Warriors because I saw Steve Kerr was talking today, and they're talking about playing Moses Moody at the 2. So I don't know. I don't know how Keon would have fit into what they were doing exactly, but
it probably would have been viewed as an overpay because it wouldn't have been Keon by itself, and Keon in a first, I mean, that would have felt crazy.
But they still would have had to reroute Malik Monk somewhere. So it would have been, from the Kings' point, Monk and Ellis.
That's a lot.
And a pick.
That's a lot. So,
which is where I think why they just kind of packed up and went home. They never wavered from the Monk and lottery protected first round pick, at least to our knowledge. Maybe Sam will report that they were willing to give up more, but the Warriors were done. We don't know.
And then there was the whole back and forth about the protections with the pick and whether that mattered or not. Yeah, I just hope that they lock down Keon and I know I've been the same person and we've had conversations about should Keon be available. I'll said it before and I'll say it again. If it's to get younger, I think, and it's a pick, I think you would have to think about it, right? We did the exercise. If the Thunder, for some reason, Lou Dort moves on or whatever it is, or they just want a 18th 3-and-D guy, and they want to give you the 18th pick, let's talk. But I'm not moving off of Keon for anything that helps the Kings in theory in the short term. The John Collins, the PJ Washingtons, that ship has sailed.
So you know what's funny is that last week on the show, Kayla asked that exact same question. Is like, should they keep or move on from Keon Ellis? And Chris Watkins and I had the same answer. Is it's not about Keon Ellis the player. It's about you got to pick a direction. And Keon Ellis is kind of the inflection point of what direction are you going to go? Are you going to sign this guy to a 4-year 3-year deal for his 26, 27, and age 28 seasons?
Yeah.
Or are we trading him probably for a first-round pick, not a premium first-round pick, but it's getting younger and going the developmental route? It's not about keeping Keon or not. It's you got to pick a direction, which way we're going.
Yeah, and look, I know it's not apples to apples all the time, but you're essentially flipping an undrafted two-way player into a first-round pick. That's what you're doing.
That's an amazing investment.
Yeah, that's what you're doing. Now, you got to hit on that pick, and that's not to say that player would be better than Keon, but that's a good way to say, hey, I'm cashing out, I'm leaving the table right now, because as good as Keon is, I don't remember any playoff T-shirts.
Especially when the alternative is you just lose him for nothing.
916-339-1140. How are you feeling with the saga over? Call line and text line. Let's talk pace. The Kings trying to up the pace. Is that a good thing or bad thing? I have where the Kings were in pace last season and the top 11 teams in pace, and the list might surprise you. Don't move. More Sacktown Sports coming up.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
Are you really that different than the rest of us?
We are. As a fiduciary, we always focus on what's best for our clients.
What services do you offer besides investing?
We have a team of specialists in financial planning, estate planning, and more.
Your clients rely on you for all that?
Yes, we ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Okay, but you still sell commission-based products, right?
No, because we believe that's a conflict of interest. We prioritize service over sales goals.
So, then how do your fees work?
We have a simple and transparent fee that's a percentage of our clients' portfolios. So we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, we're more different than I thought.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at fisherinvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
With Progressive, it's easy to reach customer service with our app, website, chat, or by phone. Because when getting help is hard, it's not help at all.
Little help. A little help over here.
Thank you for calling Bench Press Assistance.
What?
Due to excessive gym volume, all available spotters are currently lifting heavy weights off the chests of other bench pressers.
Seriously?
Please continue to hold, and we will remove the barbell from your chest in the order in which your cry for help was received.
Getting assistance should be easy. With Progressive, it is. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Let's go!
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
When I was a kid, I remember my dad, a lineman, leaving in the middle of the night. Families were depending on him to get their power back on to keep them safe and warm. Watching him taught me that this work isn't just about wires and circuits. It's about people and the trust they place in us when the lights go out. That's why I started Maverick Electric Heating and Air, to carry on that same promise of showing up, doing it right, and protecting families when they need us most. Visit callamaverick.com.
The deals are on now at the model year-end sales event at Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop.
Looking to own or lease? Save on year-end models and drive a brand new Accord or Civic. Visit us today at folsomlakehonda.com, your one-stop Honda shop.
As a family-owned and operated dealership since 2009, customer service is our #1 priority. Our customers love doing business with us, and you will too.
Folsom Lake Honda. Go to folsomlakehonda.com.
Your one-stop Honda shop.
Hit the field during Sky River Casino's $400,000 touchdown for a truck giveaway. Play slots and table games daily to earn entries. Then join in on the action every Saturday for a chance to score up to $15,000 in free play or a brand new 2025 Chevy Silverado 1500. Visit skyriver.com to see how you can get 100 bonus entries every Tuesday and Friday. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 21 or over.
Allen Stiles. Watch the show on youtube.com/Sacktown Sports 1140.
Or listen on the Sacktown Sports app.
Gotta pace, gotta pace, gotta pace, gotta pace. That's what the Sacramento Kings are trying to do. They are trying to up the pace this season, okay? And they are really excited. Doug Christie talking about being the best conditioned team in the league. I feel like, look, as much as I do love that, that's kind of a cliche, right? That's kind of a new season 101. How many teams said that yesterday, first day of training camp? And don't get me wrong, it's real, but so many teams say that. We want to be the best team. And I know Brendan said that they were meeting back up at 5 o'clock or 5:30 yesterday.
Doing two-a-days.
Doing two-a-days, but we don't know what they were doing at 5 o'clock. They could have been lifting. They could have been, I don't even know if NBA, if they have team lifts, but they could have been lifting. They could have been doing a walkthrough. They could have been doing it. They could have been having a whole another practice. So I understand Doug Christie and Scott Perry. That's their approach. It's very old school. It just reminds me of Coach Carter and all of his, what did he have, 7 sisters? This play is called Darlene. So it reminds me of high school basketball, not in a bad way, but it's kind of training camp cliche-y, right? That's fine. I can say that.
This feels like a very college football coach thing where they're like, every year, we're going to be the best conditioned team.
And now you're going to have Mike Bibby, who was there yesterday, go tell Sac State, and we're going to be the best conditioned team in the Big Sky as well.
Are they? Yeah, I think they are still in the Big Sky for basketball.
They're definitely in the Big Sky for football. I think they're in the Big Sky for both.
Yeah, but I think they're moving to the Big West.
Besides the point, Kyle. Besides the point. Whatever conference they're in, we're going to be the best conditioned team. You know what? Screw the conference in the nation. We're going to be the best. We're going to run liners all day long.
And that is how we're going to beat the big boys.
You smoke a layup, we're running liners. You turn the ball over, we're running liners.
And you're going to definitely see it on Instagram.
And you're definitely with Sac State.
Yeah.
We're going to see all this on Instagram. But seriously, the Kings trying to up the pace. They were 19th in pace in 2025. Now, I have a list of 11 teams, and there's a reason I went with 11 because it kind of illustrates how even keel this whole thing is. By the way, just to put it in layman's terms, pace, which is measured in the NBA, that's how we know the Kings were 19th. Pace is just the average number of times a team has the ball in a game. It tells us how many opportunities a team creates to score and how fast they're playing compared to others. So with that being said, here are your I'll just do top 10, but I have the 11, and there's a reason I have the 11. Your top 10 teams in pace in 2025. Number 10, the Cleveland Cavaliers. Number 9, the Toronto Raptors. Number 8, this surprised me, the Denver Nuggets. Doesn't feel like they play fast because of Jokic. They're number 8. Number 7, this did not surprise me, the Indiana Pacers. Number 6, the Utah Jazz. Number 5, the Oklahoma City Thunder. Number 4, the Washington Wizards. Number 3, the Atlanta Hawks. Number 2, the Chicago Bulls. And the number 1 team in pace, a bit surprising again, maybe not because of their captain, the Memphis Grizzlies. So when you look at this list, you have, out of the top 10, there were 5 teams, literally split. 5 teams that made the playoffs, 5 teams that didn't, and 2 of those teams were awful. 2 of those teams, the Wizards and the Jazz, 2 of the worst teams in the NBA. And just as a bonus, number 11, the Detroit Pistons, so another playoff team. So 6 out of 11 of the teams with the top rated pace made the playoffs. 5 out of 10, that's exactly 50%. I find that incredibly intriguing because it means that pace is not really an indicator as to whether you're a good team or not. You have literally, Kyle, the best team in the NBA and the worst team in the NBA right next to each other. The Oklahoma City Thunder sandwiched between the 2 worst teams in the NBA. And I know the Hornets aren't on here, but number 4, Wizards. Number 5, Oklahoma City Thunder. Number 6, Utah Jazz. So pace is great, but let's not get it twisted. 50% of those teams in the top 10 in pace stunk it up.
Yeah, it's the old phrase, styles make fights, where it's like, just because you're a boxer who is good at, doing the Floyd Mayweather thing where you evade kind of situation and run it to the clock, just because you play that style doesn't mean you're immune to getting punched in the face and getting knocked out. Right? It's more of a style making the fight than it is the style makes your team better kind of situation.
So I thought that was a bit surprising. I thought honestly, I thought it would have been 7 out of 10 to be in the top 10 in pace. When I saw from 2 to 4, the Bulls, the Hawks, and the Wizards, and I get it, younger teams, maybe that's part of it as well. Maybe that is it, right? You're either good or young. That's it. Grizzlies, good.
And young.
That's one of the 5.
They're young.
And young.
Yeah,
and
they're
young. Good and young. Oklahoma City Thunder, good, the best. Pacers, good, and pretty young too. Denver Nuggets, good. Cleveland Cavaliers, good. The other 5 teams, all young. Bulls, young. Hawks, young. Wizards, young. Jazz, young. Raptors, young adjacent.
And also, in defense of the Hawks, they were the 8th seed. They just tricked it off in the play-in.
That's true. And I almost did highlight them to just say, hey, they were a play-in team. So you're either running around like a chicken with your head cut off, and that's why your pace is high, or you're one of the best teams in the league.
Actually, now that I realize it, they were the 7th, I think.
Because the Heat were the first team to jump it. The Heat were the first team to get in as
they were the
10.
first 10, yeah.
Yeah.
So the Hawks were even basically a playoff team last year, too. So I think it's indicative, but yeah, to your point, it's more of a styles making a fight. It's just another reason why I'm rolling my eyes at this.
But here's my argument, though. A veteran team, any veteran team that seems to up the pace is a playoff caliber team, right? All these teams that are vet teams that are in the top 10 in pace made the playoffs. There's no veteran teams that stink that have high pace. So that's a good thing. All the teams that stink with the fast pace are young. So if the Kings are able to up the pace, and that's not to say they're not going to go from 19th, I don't think, to top 10, but even just upping the pace, I do think it matters. You got to think the Warriors used to be top 10 back in their heyday, maybe top 5, and then they've dropped off.
Yeah, I mean, we can see let's just pull up the 2016 Warriors real quick. So they were
younger at that point.
They were 2nd in the league in pace during the 73-9 team. During their first championship run, they were 1st in pace. When Kevin Durant first got there, they were 4th in pace. The last Kevin Durant season, when they lost, they went down to 10th.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, progressively their pace started to decline a little bit.
I'm looking here, just some of the teams that are around the Kings, just to give you a look at this. The Clippers were 22nd in pace. Let's see some of the slow movers. Jalen Brunson and the Knicks, 26th in pace. The Orlando Magic, the Orlando Magic, I don't know why their basketball is so ugly. It's because no one makes a jump shot, but they were 30th in pace. Very surprising, Kyle. The Boston Celtics, 29th in pace. So they take their time and just chuck threes.
No, that makes sense. Yeah, it's just Jason Tatum doing the ISO ball thing, and sometimes he'll chuck it, sometimes he'll pass it.
More ISO ball. The Timberwolves are 25th in pace. The Hornets stink and they're slow. They're 23 in pace, even though LaMelo got injured. Clippers were 22nd. The Suns were 21st. The Lakers were 20th. Like I said, the Kings were 19th. The Rockets were 18th. The Warriors, and this is where you're seeing some of those more vet teams. And I know the Rockets are young, and they're just not very good on offense, or they weren't outstanding at offense. Rockets at 18, Warriors at 17, Blazers at 16, Pelicans at 15, Bucks at 14, Spurs at 13, so they move a little bit, and they're young. Dallas Mavericks at 12. That's surprising to me. Sure. I guess moving on from Luka.
Well, Luka didn't play very much.
Yeah, that's true. There's no way they're 12 with Luka on the floor.
Yeah.
No way. And then goes to the Detroit Pistons, a younger team, at 11 in the top 10 that I just read off. So some surprises there, but now that I've worked it out, it basically you're good or you're good or you're young. pretty much.
Well, the other thing that clicked in my head, by the way, just real quick, the last 5 champions were, doing quick math, 6th, 23rd, 13th, and 2nd.
Well, I know one of those 23rds was the Celtics.
Yeah, Celtics, Nuggets, 13th was the Warriors, 2nd was the Bucks.
That's interesting.
6th was the Thunder. So it's all over the map.
So I do wonder what changed with the Nuggets to go from 23rd a couple years ago to 8th. How does that happen?
I don't know. It's a great question. Anyways, I was also going to say before we go, this made me roll my eyes because you saying pace all the time triggered a memory in my head of this sound.
Keep talking pace, 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 pace. We got to keep playing fast, even faster than what we play tonight because that's how we play. We generate a lot of points just by us pushing the ball.
That was Mike Brown during the Warriors playoff series in 2023.
So that's when he was coaching.
Yes, that was him as the Kings coach during at the best moment the Kings had ever been, when they were up 2-1 on the Warriors. That was Mike Brown's message. The same exact thing we're hearing now. So I'm rolling my eyes.
Keep talking pace, pace.
That's happened multiple times. And again, it's not about Doug Christie saying things that Mike Brown typically said. It's about these are things that every coach says.
Yes, exactly. So,
and you got to kind of sift through being the most conditioned team. I think we're going to get good nuggets from Doug Christie, but you have to sift through the coach speak. You have to. And that's part of it.
Keep talking pace, pace.
At one point, shout out Nate, he made like a beat drop to that sound, like would put music behind it. It was pace.
You know what's funny? Looking at this now with Mike Brown, going to the Knicks, who are 26 in pace, do you...
Pace.
If you're him, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Or is there going to be a level of, hey, I know we're Brunson dependent, but if we move the ball a little bit more, maybe Mikal Bridges can remember how to shoot, and maybe some of these guys can internally, if they're not making, a move for somebody, internally you can get more help if you get them more possessions and get them more opportunities versus just letting Jalen Brunson kind of do his thing. But that's their problem, and I'm still waiting to see if the Knicks will ever the Kings will ever beat the Knicks. They have not beat the Knicks the whole time I've been out here. When we return, let's keep the conversation going. Are you worried about what the Warriors have done this offseason? Where should they fit, and where should the Kings fit in the path and on the map of the Western Conference? Allen Stiles, Sacramento Sports.
Pace. The
Sacramento Sports 49ers report is brought to you by Kia of Vacaville, located beside the Vacaville outlets. Niners suffer their first loss of the season, 26-21 to Jacksonville. Brock Purdy returned after missing 2 games and threw for over 300 yards and a pair of touchdowns, but also had a couple of interceptions. Travis Etienne rushed for 124 yards and a TD for Jacksonville. Quick turnaround for SF as they travel to LA on Thursday for a big divisional matchup. Catch the game this Thursday beginning at 4 o'clock right here on Sacktown Sports 1140.
Football season is here at Kia of Vacaville. You can score big in a new 2025 Kia Niro LX with up to 53 MPG combined at Kia of Vacaville. Perfect for road trips, tailgates, and cruising to Levi Stadium in style and comfort. But don't wait. Inventory is limited at Kia of Vacaville, and these deals won't last long. Visit KiaVacaville.com or stop by right next to the Vacaville outlets for friendly service, easy shopping, and unbeatable value. All in one stop. Kia of Vacaville, where the adventure begins.
With 25 award-winning years in Northern California, Ashton & Price is your local injury law firm. Pro attorney tip: if a firm presents as local but they're in LA, red flag. If your first consultation is not with a lawyer, big red flag. At Ashton & Price, your first consult is with a local attorney, and if serious injury prevents travel, a lawyer will come to you. Still not enough? George Washington's my uncle. At Ashton & Price, no red flags, just red, white, and blue.
Remember, for the best advice, don't think twice. Call Ashton & Price.
Need cash fast? Tap into the value of your home with a home equity line of credit from Valley Strong Credit Union. Whether it's for home improvements, debt consolidation, or that dream vacation, you can get your cash offer in minutes. That's right, just minutes to unlock the power of your home's equity with no hard credit pull to see how much cash you can get. No stress, no waiting, just smart local banking that puts you first. Grow your possibilities with Valley Strong Credit Union. Visit valleystrong.com to get started today.
For over 90 years, Hagen Oaks has partnered with the biggest brands in golf to bring cutting-edge technology to your game. Our one-of-a-kind total game fitting offers a level of experience and precision that is unmatched. From driver to putter, footwear to golf balls, our TrackMan-powered performance studios, 3D footwear scanner, and Ping's Ballnamic ball fitting kiosk ensure every piece of your gear is tailored to your swing. Trust the experts at the Hagen Oaks Golf Super Shop. Total game fitting starts here.
Hello, Sacramento. I'm Emran Pilati, owner of True Sports Cards and Collectible Store here in Rockland, California, and the host of the True Sports Cards Show that airs right here on Sacktown Sports 1140 every Saturday from 10 to 11 a.m., where we discuss the latest trends, hottest products, and deliver exclusive interviews with other industry leaders. And don't forget to visit our shop, True Sports Cards, at 6661 Stanford Ranch Road in Rockland and see what we have for all your sports card and memorabilia needs.
Allen Stiles
You can join the show by texting 916-339-1140.
on Sacktown Sports.
Couple MLB playoff games going on. Kyle and Whitey's Padres are up 1-0 in the top of the third. And Detroit, Cleveland, they are tied 1-1. Good series out there. And a couple close games yesterday. There are some numbers we'll get to in the 1 o'clock hour. I don't know if it's just me. I mean, I always follow baseball, but there are a lot of numbers showing that baseball had a great season. These TV numbers, just broadcast numbers, baseball is up. And the pace of play, we're talking about pace with the Kings. The pace is faster. Aroldis Chapman forgot, but you can only pick over a couple times. So more teams are stealing.
He gave up like 3 singles and then struck out the side.
Right. The launch angle conversation, I'm not saying it's going away, but teams are getting back to just putting the bat on the baseball. The Brewers were a great example of that. And obviously, you have A's players that are doing the same thing. I wish the Giants would get on that train as well. So, yeah, a great season for baseball so far. And if they can cap it off with some big names, even though they had the biggest names last season with the Dodgers and the Yankees, but if they can keep this going, the Major League Baseball narrative can head in the right direction. And the Jacob Wilsons of the world, these guys are starting to make a comeback. People were tired of the 3 true outcomes, tired of watching strikeouts. And, yeah, everybody loves the long ball, but people were tired of it, absolutely tired of it. So good on baseball for trying to evolve, and hopefully they continue to move in the right direction. Also, real quick, speaking of baseball, all the Bruce Bochy talk has kind of ended. Buster Posey had a press conference this morning, and he said, we're going to talk to Bruce Bochy about joining us in some capacity, the same way, Dusty Baker. I've seen Dusty Baker walking around Sutter Health Park with the River Kitties when they're playing the River Cats a couple different times. We're interested in talking to Bruce Bochy about something like that. He will not, quote, Bruce Bochy will not be a part of the managerial search for the San Francisco Giants. So some people are taking a breath. Some people are a little upset because they wanted to bring that old thing back, but it seems as if Buster Posey is moving on to greener, I shouldn't say greener pastures, younger pastures.
It's something not Bob Melvin pastures.
That's right. And my number one pick right now, and it's a fascinating story on Skip Schumacher, how, he did what he did for the Marlins. There ended up being, I guess, a tragedy in his family. He stepped away from the game. Now he's an advisor for the Rangers. He's one of the hottest names in sports.
I think he was manager of the year.
He was manager of the year. So he's probably my number one for the Giants. I think he's going to have a couple different options. The Angels are looking. A couple teams are looking.
The Twins, even though the Twins are broke.
Yeah, I wouldn't sleep on the brand name of the Giants and probably being the biggest brand with available. Who am I forgetting?
Well, we just found out today Snitker's retiring for the Braves.
Nah, the Giants are a bigger brand than the Braves.
I don't know. Braves have been in the playoffs every year.
If you think that, and again, here's another one. I think the Giants are a bigger brand. I might have orange and black color lenses on. Also, which division would you rather be in? I think the Braves maybe have more talent, but what division would you rather be in? If the Mets actually figure, it's kind of tough because the Mets and the Phillies spending big money. You got the Mets and the Phillies basically juxtaposed to the Padres and the Dodgers.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, there's no difference. They're both crazy hard divisions.
I'm just saying. You're the one saying, I'd rather be, I don't know. I think I'd rather be.
I'm the Giants, I think, are such a big brand, even though we've been to the playoffs one time in 10 years.
They're a bigger brand than the Braves, Kyle.
The Braves have been in the playoffs literally every year.
So have the Brewers. That's not what brands are about.
The
Lakers, they've missed the playoffs how many times?
Okay,
Let's go top 5 brands in baseball.
It's not going to be the Braves or the Giants.
Kyle, let's get them out the way.
Yankees, Red
Dodgers.
Sox.
Yankees, Dodgers, Red Sox.
Mets,
Cubs, fine.
Then probably Braves and Giants and Phillies, all in that next group.
Phillies, Giants, and the Braves somewhere down there.
They're
better than the Diamondbacks, cool.
Sure.
They're better than the Rockies, cool.
The Braves are better than the Nationals.
Yeah, cool. But the Giants, I mean, this is 3 World Series.
Look,
this is Buster Posey. Hey, hold on, Kyle. One more for you. Who's kicking off the 2026 season?
I don't know. The Mariners in Japan?
No. That's a good guess, though. No. Giants, Yankees under the Oracle lights with Aaron Judge, quote unquote, coming back home again.
To hit 3 home runs against the Giants.
To just pepper the wall and hit 2 splash hits. So don't give me that, Kyle.
Look, brand is about the same. Braves' job is probably a better job right now than the Giants' job.
Brand not the same, but Braves' job probably better job.
Yeah, probably better job, but hey, who knows? Maybe Skip Schumacher's probably just going to stay in Texas.
I don't know how much, because I know the Reds, they have a bandbox. And I know, obviously, Yankees, Red Sox, all these parks that are very hitter-friendly. I don't know about the Braves ballpark, whether that's considered hitter-friendly or not.
I think it's kind of middle.
Neutral.
I think it's kind of in the middle. Yeah. We can ask our boss about that. He's a Braves fan.
If I'm taking the job at Oracle, I'm saying, hey, we're bringing in Triples Alley again. It's time. You want me? If I'm Skip Schumacher, you want me? Bring in Triples Alley.
I don't think he's got pull like that.
No, well, okay. Then go get somebody else. But
you got to shoot for bigger than Skip Schumacher if you're going for bringing in the Triples Alley.
They're talking about, okay, then who would it be?
I don't know. Go try and get Alex Cora. Isn't his contract up?
Everybody wants Stephen Vogt.
Sure.
Look, man, it's very simple.
I mean, I'm also getting to the point where I don't know baseball managers like I used to. Like, I have no idea who's managing the Mariners. Mariners are in the playoffs. I couldn't tell you who the Mariners manager is right now.
Ken Griffey Jr.
It's not Scott Service anymore,
dumper. Right? That's all you need to know. Speaking of the Bay Area, so this is the Warriors offseason now. Seth Curry, who's going to leave and come back. GP2, DeAnthony Melton, Al Horford, Jonathan Kuminga, who apparently is now bought in. Did they end up cooking this offseason? Where do we have the Warriors fitting into the West?
I can name 5 teams I feel confident are better than the Warriors.
Thunder, Nuggets, Lakers,
Rockets, Timberwolves.
Yeah. And then
I don't know
what you going to say, the Clippers?
I don't know what I'm doing with them. And then again, there's 5 teams I feel pretty confident are better than the Warriors.
Yeah, I mean, they're better. And let's not forget Al Horford. I know it seems like he is old, and they are old. I don't know if they're older than the Clippers, but they are old. But Al Horford did play 20-plus minutes a night for the Celtics. So he's still got that in him.
He's still got that
in him. And he packed that thing, too. And Quinn Post is running around there somewhere.
I don't think he's going to be running around on the court very much.
Where's Trace? Can we get Trace Jackson Davis? Where is that fool?
I don't know.
Where is Trace Jackson Davis?
I keep confusing him and who's the other 3-name guy who just got traded from the Lakers.
Maybe guard. I don't think it's a big man, but Yeah.
I just keep confusing. Oh, Horton Tucker. That's what I'm thinking. I keep confusing him and Taylor Horton Tucker. I don't know.
Yeah, and again, this is
sorry, Jalen Hood-Schifino. That's what I was thinking of.
This is, that's the Peninsula. I'm not from the Peninsula, but when I spent time out there, they call everybody fool. So I'm not calling Trace Jackson Davis a fool, but sometimes it pops up when we're talking our trash about certain teams. Yeah, I don't really know what to do with it. I know Warriors fans are excited. I just think it's the same thing. There's still no number 2 option. This is the same conversation we've had for years.
I mean, Jimmy's a good one. I
need to see. I'm not that high on 48-year-old Jimmy. And his age is about to match how much money he makes a year.
And how many games he plays.
Seriously. 48 a year, 48 years old, 48 games a year.
Yeah. I mean, I think it all comes back to the point of, do you think Steph Curry can still be the best player on a contending team?
I'm just surprised that they went in this direction. I just don't think that they have enough. They're not beating the Thunder.
No, but
they're not. And I don't know. We need to spend some time still getting reacclimated because we missed out on the Fred VanVleet stuff. I have no jokes for Fred VanVleet. I feel very bad that he tore his ACL.
Yes.
I feel very bad that he tore his ACL. They got him on a more realistic contract, and now he won't be playing at all. So I think that's kind of a big deal for the Rockets.
When that news broke, because we were on the air when it happened, we literally joked, I bet Allen's cooking up trades to the Rockets, and literally the next tweet you had was a Malik Monk to the Rockets situation.
Look, man, I'm just saying, there's an option, okay? There's an option.
There's an $18 million combo guard available for you.
Look, Dennis Schroeder for Reed Shepherd. Let's just think about it.
Let's not.
Let's just think about it.
If I'm the Rockets, let's not.
Look, well, they won't let Reed Shepherd play, so now they have no choice.
Yeah, guess what, Reed Shepherd? It's now or never. That was the other one that happened that's now or never. We never talked about it. Scoot is out now, and this was supposed to be his now or never season.
Scoot Henderson.
Yeah, Scoot Henderson blew out his hamstring. He tore his hamstring.
Yeah, what's going on with the hamstrings these days? Back in my day, you could only just pull your hamstring and you'd be out, a couple days, couple weeks. Now we're straight up tearing them.
Also, this is the point of the Achilles are getting younger. Scoot's 21, 22?
Yeah.
We're already tearing hamstrings.
Yeah, so.
God, I felt so bad for him too because we were like, buddy, it's now or never for you. And it looks like it's going to be never.
Well, he'll still have an opportunity. And whenever he comes back, and yeah, that's rough stuff. Who will replace Scoot Henderson for Blazers? This was just a day ago. And there's a picture of everyone's favorite other Murray, Chris Murray.
There's no way.
They're not even the same position.
This is what they got Drew Holiday for. Just stick Drew Holiday at point.
Literally, that's what they're going to do.
You're going to have to play Shaedon Sharpe.
What we're going to do when we return, we have a great conversation with DeMar DeRozan. He spoke with the media scrum. That's where he said last season was a bleep show. We talked to him about some other stuff, including last season as well, and his conversations with Scott Perry, and, unofficially his decision to not force his way out of Sacramento and see what they could do with a clean slate. Those are the operative words. Don't move. We have that on the other side to kick off the 1 o'clock hour. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Carmichael Dave here for my friends at American Energy Heating and Air. Yes, I always tell you they are a family-owned operation, been in business since 81, A-plus Better Business Bureau, but it is hot. We are in those Sacramento hot months. I want to focus on them being your second opinion partner. What does that mean? Maybe you've got somebody you're working with or you've worked with in the past in the HVAC world. Guess what? They want to give you a second opinion. How much does it cost? Nothing. You call them up and say, hey, can I get a second opinion on this deal. They come out and they either say, wow, that's a great deal, you should feel better about that, or they say, we can beat that price. And usually they're going to beat it by a lot. Guess what? You just saved money and it didn't cost you anything to find out. It's a no-lose situation. Go with a trusted company. American Energy, 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990 or AmericanEnergyAir.com. Jingle Singers, take it away.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
Just announced, Stockton Honda has been named #1 of California's best car dealers in 2025 by USA Today and Statista. This prestigious award is based on thousands of customer reviews and recommendations, ranking dealerships for service, value, and satisfaction. Out of hundreds evaluated, Stockton Honda is proud to be #1, recognized for all-around excellence and commitment to our customers. Visit Stockton Honda, where reputation meets the road.
Anytime, anywhere, it's all here. StocktonHonda.com.
When I was a kid, I remember my dad, a lineman, leaving in the middle of the night. Families were depending on him to get their power back on to keep them safe and warm. Watching him taught me that this work isn't just about wires and circuits. It's about people and the trust they place in us when the lights go out. That's why I started Maverick Electric Heating and Air, to carry on that same promise of showing up, doing it right, and protecting families when they need us most. Visit callamaverick.com.
It's championship night at Stockton 99 Speedway, Saturday, October 11th. Pro League models, mini stocks, legends, pure stocks, and mini modifieds in an all-out war for the crown. Kids 10 and under are always free. Grab your crew and hit Stockton99.com for tickets and info. Then be there when the dust settles and legends are made.
If your passion is bass fishing, only one radio show has the action, information, and excitement of your favorite outdoor sport. Ultimate Bass, hosted by Tournament Bass Pro and California Outdoor Hall of Famer Kip Brown, takes you live to where the fish are biting every Saturday morning. Only Ultimate Bass feeds your passion with the latest news, products, tips, and advice from the pros. Ultimate Bass with Kip Brown, Saturday mornings at 5 a.m. on Sacktown Sports 1140, part of SEP's Saturday Morning Outdoors.
For over 90 years, Hagen Oaks has partnered with the biggest brands in golf to bring cutting-edge technology to your game. Our one-of-a-kind total game fitting offers a level of experience and precision that is unmatched. From driver to putter, footwear to golf balls, our TrackMan-powered performance studios, 3D footwear scanner, and Ping's Ballnamic ball fitting kiosk ensure every piece of your gear is tailored to your swing. Trust the experts at the Hagen Oaks Golf Super Shop. Total game fitting starts here.
KHD1 Sacramento, KYMX HD3 Sacramento.
Your flagship station for the Beam Team.
From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios.
This is Sacktown Sports 1140. Live and local.
It's Allen Stiles
on Sacktown Sports.
Kyle playing that Kendrick reminded me we still have to talk about Bad Bunny and the Super Bowl.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about me accidentally playing Drake while DeMar was coming on.
No, I didn't even think about that. Did you do that?
I did, but I didn't know we were getting DeMar,
Right.
so I just happened to have that song up next, and
Maybe,
it was like
yeah.
DeMar's coming on.
Yeah, maybe I'm sure he didn't hear. But yeah, we still got to talk about Bad Bunny. I have thoughts. So we will share those with you. We might get to them in this hour or later in the week. Real quick, before we get to this very, very good, very, very insightful DeMar DeRozan interview from Media Day that I had, thanks to the morning show. They said, Alan, you get to interview DeMar today. So shout out to them. I got to give them a shout out because Carmichael Dave and Chris Verlot are not happy with me right now.
They're like genuinely upset
Because I just said a joke about them hoarding guests. And yeah, Dave, some of my jokes with Dave, and which is funny because he's done the same thing to me. Dave doesn't like to get out-Daved. And I've been out-Daving Dave pretty often here, and it's bugging him. It's bugging him.
Oh, the one with his, or with your paternity leave where they waited for 3 weeks. He was mad about that for days.
Yeah. Well, we waited about 6 months, but
He was so mad about that.
I have the key to get under Dave's skin, apparently. And, I was joking for the most part, but don't tell him that since he's pretty salty about it.
I felt like you made a good save today when you were like, well, Dave, this is payback for you not recognizing my voice.
That's right. That's right. So this is the interview that we have with DeMar of the qualifying, the restricted free agent horseman. The final horseman has made a decision, and this is what happens when, you're just going to have to play your way out of it, brother. Similar to Cam Thomas, restricted free agent Quentin Grimes is signing a 1-year, $8.7 million qualifying offer to return to the Philadelphia 76ers. Grimes will now hold an inherent no-trade clause and enter a more flush market in unrestricted free agency next summer. I think this is smart for Quentin Grimes simply because the Sixers can't keep anybody healthy. If they do keep, and Jared McCain, he had to have thumb surgery. It's looking a little dicey with him. Can you get on the court at all or just do TikTok? So I think this is smart from Quentin Grimes. But all in all, you start to see these archetypes and who ended up getting deals and who didn't. Two guys ended up getting deals, right? And ended up having the teams up the deal. Even if you feel like the Warriors won, Kuminga got a deal. He's an archetype that fits right now. He's a long 3-4 type who can defend and is very explosive. You have Josh Giddey getting a deal. He's a young point guard. He's 6'8", 6'9" point guard. The two dudes that didn't get a deal, the two guards, Quinn Grimes and Cam Thomas,
who spent a season chucking on bad teams.
So that's what it is. Get in the gym, shoot the corner 3-ball, and defend, and hope that you grow more than 6'5". That's your hope these days. That's your hope. All right, let's hear from future Hall of Famer DeMar DeRozan.
One, the only DeMar DeRozan. What's up, DeMar? I'm good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
How was your summer?
Summer was good. It's always fast, but it was good.
Yeah.
It was good, yeah.
Now that you've been out here in Sacramento for a little bit of time, was Sacramento or is Sacramento as a city what you expected it to be? Any different? I know you had obviously traveled there, right, to play the Kings, but as far as living, was it what you expected? A little different in any way, shape, or form?
I think really realizing, the diehard fan base was amazing for me.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of notice it last couple of years before I came, how intense they were. But, being part of it, that was the most surprising thing, how intense the fans were.
Yeah. Talking to DeMar DeRozan. So I was talking to Malik Monk earlier and just how this media, a couple things have changed from this media day to last media day. And we spoke to you, or you had your exit presser. And after the last game, actually, it seemed like you were in real deep thought just about your career and everything that you've kind of been through up to this moment. Going into this season, what are you excited about as far as, I guess, some of the differences or just the clean slate, if you will, going into this season?
You said it. I'm more excited just for the clean slate.
Mm-hmm.
Us being able to know the things that worked when Doug took over last thing and the things that didn't work, what we could add, how we could get better at things. And now just having a solid foundation of Doug's vision of how he wants us to be. I think I'm more excited for that, building off that, training camp, preseason, being able to clean up all the things we didn't get a chance to last year. We didn't have much practice time to change a whole different, oversight of a coach vision.
Yeah.
And having a trade middle of the season. It was just so much that was going on, and it's always difficult to maneuver through that, in this league. So having a clean slate is something I'm definitely excited about.
I've watched a couple of your interviews where you talked about your time with Zach LaVine and having Lonzo out there in Chicago. Adding a guy like Dennis Schroeder to the mix, how do you think that's going to help the team, and still having playmakers like Malik and others, and you can handle the ball, Zach can handle the ball. But specifically with Dennis Schroeder, there was so much talked about this season honestly, the end of last season about the point guard position. How do you think Dennis Schroeder is going to help the team in areas where maybe after that trade things got a little out of whack?
Dennis has been one of the most competitive guards in our league. You know, back when he played for the Hawks, and everywhere he went, he's impacted the team in a positive way with his, you know, toughness, his competitive level, his IQ of the game, his ability to win big games. You know, he don't shy away from big moments, big shots. Played with some of the greatest players in his game. Even seeing him lead his country to a medal, him getting MVP, you know, that speaks volumes of what type of player and point guard he is that, you know, we are inheriting, you know, into you know, our brotherhood to start this journey, you know, and that says a lot.
How much time? I saw a couple videos of you working out, and I know the young guys were doing the Rico Hines run. How much time did you spend with the team or players from the team working out, playing pickup, anything like that?
Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot more than, you know, people probably would expect. You know, we was together, got a chance to play, you know, over the last couple of weeks being here and, you know, Sac, being here with guys working out in the gym. So we definitely spent some time together for sure.
Yeah. Talking to DeMar DeRozan. DeMar, I've been asking a lot of the players about this. It feels like lately there has been, I guess, more of a focus on, hey, you guys got to find your role. You got to find your lane, right? I saw Draymond's talking about it. I saw Coach Bobby Jackson talking about it, and how everything has been lining up these days, or it seems like the last couple years, where it's you got your star, you got maybe your big man, and everybody else, we want that kind of 3-and-D or find whatever your role is. Does it feel like the league is moving into more of a specialized type of league at all?
Yeah, I mean, that's just the league, you know. Since I've been in the league, it changed over so many different times. And the ones that could adapt and adjust to it in real time are the successful ones.
Yeah.
You know, and whatever is called for, whatever we could address and kind of establish right away and get guys to buy into what we think will be successful, those are the teams that win games.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's just part of the league. Another 5 years, pretty sure is going to be another shift of dynamic that come about that teams and organizations are going to have to, you know, kind of figure out. So, you know, it is what it is when it comes to the game, but that's the beauty of it. The ones that can adjust to it quicker is the ones that become successful.
Yeah, talking to DeMar DeRozan. Now, I know there's way too many outlets these days where they got lists for everything, they got rankings for everything, and you can go ahead and ignore that. I probably would do the same thing if I were you. I personally cannot, because I'm talking about the Sacramento Kings 4 hours a day. Do you feel like, based on what you maybe have seen, do you feel like as a group, because the West is so loaded, do you feel like this group of Kings players is maybe a little underrated?
For me, I look at all these guys like we got more than enough to do with whatever it is we need to do. You know, you look at a team like Indiana. You picked Indiana to go to finals last year?
I did not have them.
Nobody probably did. But it's the ones that believe and put in the work and understand and come together as a team that make things happen. You know, and that's a percentage of it. Then you got to have a percentage of, you know, luck when it comes to health. You know, so much stuff throughout a NBA season that could happen, that could change, that could shift the dynamic of our league. And the ones that be completely ready and be the most consistent in the long run is the ones that make it. You know, so with the list, it's all you know, we live in an opinionated world,
right?
You know, where just because somebody put their opinion out there don't make it right.
Right.
You know, and you can't be the one who get lost in it. You just got to, if anything, use it as motivation. And for me, I hate them, but I also use it as motivation because it's needed. You know, but it's all BS to me. So.
Yeah. No, I hear you on that. Scott Perry, he takes over as the GM, like we said, part of a lot of wholesale changes that happened after this season. Have you gotten to talk to, I'm sure you talked to Scott a little bit, maybe more than a little bit. What are your feelings on what Scott's vision is and what Doug's vision is and how all that aligns with what you're trying to do?
Yeah, they was black and white with their vision, their view, their understanding what they want to be, what they want us to be every single day. And can't do nothing but respect it because it's from a standpoint of we all want to win, and this is what it takes to win. So if everybody want to do whatever it takes to win, these are things that we got to follow, and everybody's on board, you know. And that's the beauty of just having everybody on one page. You know, like I said, we went through so much stuff last year where it was so many pages being flipped to.
Right.
Now we understand this is the page right here. We all get on this. This is what it is, and let's go. Let's go to work.
Talking to DeMar DeRozan. DeMar, before we get you out of here, I know on you had a YouTube series, Dinners with DeMar, okay? And I'm a big foodie too. Have you found any good spots out in Sacramento that's, hey, Allen, when I need something, this is where I'm at?
Yeah, I'm at hopefully in the next week or two. I'm gonna have a couple spots because I'm gonna start back shooting a couple episodes.
Oh,
and I'm gonna start doing restaurants in Sac. So
look, man, you need a running buddy. I'm good. You know what I mean? I'm good with you. All
right.
Okay, keep that in mind. DeMar DeRozan, thank you so much, man. Really do appreciate it. Good luck this season and moving forward in your career. We really love having you out here in Sacramento.
Man, appreciate you. Thank you.
Great stuff from DeMar DeRozan. So look.
And only DeMar DeRozan. Of course, I had to try to sneak on in there because y'all know I love my food. I had to try to sneak in there if he's bringing back dinners with DeMar. Look, I'll take you, DeMar. I'll find a place to take you, and it could be one of your first stops on the new season of Dinners with DeMar. You know, listening back to that, and I got to be honest with you, when it comes to interviews, there's a lot going on. I'm trying to make sure that my next question is ready to go. I'm trying to make sure that it flows. I'm trying to make sure that I'm being personable with the guest. So it really does help when I listen back. And listening back to that interview, DeMar saying that those rankings that we see, the 34.5 wins, wherever he was, number 82, top 100 players, Zach LaVine 70, him again, being transparent and say, I don't like paying attention to them, and I try not to pay attention to them, but it is motivating. It does motivate me to see how these guys are talking about us and what they're slated to finish. When we had on our guy Andy Bailey from Bleacher Report, they got him at 12th, maybe even worse. I think it might have been 12th or 13th in the West.
It was 12th.
Yeah.
They were 36 wins, I believe it was. 35, 36. I can't remember exactly. I think it was 35 now that I think about it.
Yeah, that people care about that, man. I mean, anybody would, right? If in my situation there were radio ratings, preseason radio ratings, and they had me in the dumpster, I mean, I'd want to sit there and say, oh, I don't care about that. But people do care about that. Awful announcing when they do the best radio and TV booths every season, right? Whether it's for the NBA, all the local teams, right? So the NBA and Major League Baseball, I'm sure the play-by-play for whoever, it's hard to kind of shrug that. If you're at the bottom of the list, it's hard to shrug that off. So we're all humans. There is a level of keeping your mental health and keeping your chickens right, as Marshawn Lynch would say, but it's impossible to completely ignore it. And DeMar saying, I mean, we try to, but at the same time, it's also motivating for us. So I want to see what it looks like. I want to see.
Take care of y'all chicken.
Thank you, Marshawn. I want to see what this thing looks like when the rubber meets the road and when the season starts, because I'm not saying that and that's the thing, it's been a great point that they're keeping everything very general, right? It's about the process. They're not sitting here, as far as expectations are concerned, they're not sitting here talking about the playoffs. They're not sitting here talking about a championship. They're not sitting here talking about any of that. And it's really different to when I first showed up the season after the Beam Team season, they're talking about championships. They felt like they could taste it. They felt like if it was not for one or two breaks here or a 50 burger by Steph, they would have been in the mix. And then the next season they went out and they were in the play-in. And maybe they had some injuries, but they were in the play-in and they did not get into the playoffs. So they've all taken a step back. And part of the reason they've taken a step back is because last season was so ridiculous. And Kyle, we have this, as DeMar kind of put it, he said that it was kind of a bleep show, if you will. This is what he had to say.
You know, last year was one for the books for me. With so much stuff from start to end. Just be honest with you, it was just a lot of that was going on that, you know, internally we tried to fight through as players, and I can only imagine from a coaching staff, and, you know, with so much change from the front office, y'all know it was a lot going on. But we, you know, with the guys that was here, we still try to manage to make something out of it, you know. And from that moment on, when things started to change, I knew if we had the opportunity to be under Doug and see Doug's vision and have a training camp with Doug, with the players we needed, you know, we could do something, you know, and we didn't have that, you know, last year because so much stuff was happening. So I think this time around, you'll see a much different team.
Training camp hasn't even started yet, but have you already noticed kind of that reset and the difference from the chaos of last year?
Without a doubt, without a doubt, you know. And it's not nobody's fault. We all have issues internally with our jobs and everything, and sometimes you gotta learn how to pivot and maneuver through that, you know. And I think that's just what it was, you know. Just call it what it was. Last year, it just was internally a show, you know. And this time around, we got a chance to make right of the wrongs that kind of happened.
That right there, again, using the word mulligan, and we got the story on Carmichael Dave's hole-in-one. Somebody was talking in his backswing, he shanked it, and then they said, hey, swing again. He was talking in your backswing, and then he did hole it. Whether or not that's a hole-in-one, you know, I've kind of changed my mind on whether or not I would count that, because if it was me, I might be counting that. So I'm going to talk to Dave tomorrow during crosstalk, and maybe that'll help him stop being annoyed with me.
You hit it from the tee in. That counts.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. But as far as mulligans are concerned, I think that's why DeMar didn't force his way out, right? Didn't say, and look, I don't know for a fact that he didn't say that he wanted out, but he's still here, and it seems like he's really bought in. You bring in his guy from the Bulls in Zach LaVine. You go get a point guard. I think DeMar just felt like it might have been a wasted season, but he's willing to give it another go. And look, maybe part of that was the landscape for DeMar, the trade landscape for DeMar wasn't incredible right now. But I do think there's a part of this where DeMar felt last season was such an outlier, right? They kind of got robbed from even knowing if they weren't good enough or not. DeMar doesn't know. Now, Vegas, all the writers, all the prognosticators, none of them think that the Kings are good enough. A lot of the fans don't think they're good enough as far as Kings fans and just NBA fans, but they don't know that they're not good enough yet because they went 30 games and everything got blown up. And it's interesting that DeMar decided to give it another go. Now, like I said, I don't know if there were 10 teams lined up to trade for DeMar. There might have been a couple, but it's interesting that DeMar wanted to see what happens, right, with Scott Perry, who they brought in Scott Perry, who they have in Doug Christie. Obviously, he likes Doug Christie, and at least giving it another go. Now, we know next season isn't guaranteed for DeMar, and maybe he'll have more options. So I do think it's probably a combination of not having a ton of teams that were banging the door down for DeMar, but at the same time, DeMar, on his side, not forcing his way somewhere and wanting a buyout or anything like that, because he was willing to see, let's see what we can do with it not being a bleep show. And maybe he even read as soon as he got into the building, my guess is that he got into the building and he realized, okay, so some of y'all like Mike Brown. Some of y'all don't like Mike Brown. The ownership didn't really want to extend Mike Brown. This is connected to De'Aaron Fox. This is a complete disaster. And I think he's giving it at least another go, and that word that we use, clean slate, to see what happens with everyone on one accord.
I think if there were better options out there, he would have taken it.
I probably agree with you.
Both in terms of the trade this offseason and coming to Sacramento in the first place, right? Like, I know the Kings won 46 games that year after Beam Team, the year before DeMar got here. But it wasn't like this was a team that was in the playoffs that year or competing for a championship or anything. He came to be a number 3 option on a good to maybe above average team. And now they look like, well, I think as the year went along, he kind of became the number 1 on a below average team.
Right.
But now they're kind of close. I mean, it not the same roster construction, but they're at least kind of closer to where they were at the start of last year than they were at the trade deadline last year.
Yeah.
I know it's a small silver lining, and I do think if there were better options out there, he would have taken them. But to your point, it's better than it was in March last year when he called it the bleep show.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And again, if there were even maybe 5 teams, maybe this goes differently, but he's here. He's committed. I want to see where this thing goes. Maybe it goes exactly where a lot of us think it's going to go, but maybe it doesn't. And every season, as Kyle has done his homework for us and did his research on the show, every season there seems to be a team that makes Vegas look like idiots. And the last time the Kings did it, they made Vegas look like idiots. So maybe that could be them this season. We'll have to wait and see. You don't have to wait and see any more about Brock Purdy. We have an update on Brock and the injury issues that continue to plague the Niners. We got an update on Brock Purdy's status for tomorrow's showdown against the Los Angeles Rams. And it's time to have an uncomfortable conversation about Brock Purdy. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
If you're 55 or older and into that whole saving money thing, T-Mobile has an exclusive phone and internet bundle just for you. Right now, get 2 unlimited phone lines plus 5G home internet for just $30 each per month with autopay, plus taxes and fees. And with 5G home internet, setup is easy with just 1 cord and no technician needed, which is great if you're also into that whole keeping it simple thing. Switch now and experience the best mobile network in the U.S. Visit your local store to start saving. T-Mobile, it's better over here.
Based on analysis by Ookla Speed Test Intelligence data Q4 2024 to Q1 2025. Ookla trademarks used under license. Unlimited on our network. Customers on voice plan may notice speeds lower than other customers and further reduction if using more than 50 gigs a month due to data prioritization. Video streams and SD on this plan. Home internet pricing after $20 a monthly bill credit plus $5 per line without autopay. Debit or bank account required. See 5G device coverage and access details at T-Mobile.com.
Bonneville International Radio Station contests are open to participants at least 18 years of age and older that are residents of California and who reside in one of the 6 counties that make up the Sacramento metro area, unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest are not eligible to win, unless the station otherwise specifies in its own discretion. Persons who have won in the last 30 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. For a copy of the general contest rules, visit khdk.com.
Hey, this is Greg Papa. Are you working through a major insurance claim? SunPoint Public Adjusters can help. SunPoint prepares, presents, and negotiates your claim with the insurance company, working only for you, making sure you get everything you're entitled to, not what just some adjuster working for an insurance company thinks you should get. Call SunPoint today at 888-247-7865 or contact us at sunpoint.us. SunPoint Public Adjusters, the gold standard in public adjusting.
License number 2N14884.
For over 90 years, Hagen Oaks has partnered with the biggest brands in golf to bring cutting-edge technology to your game. Our one-of-a-kind total game fitting offers a level of experience and precision that is unmatched. From driver to putter, footwear to golf balls, our TrackMan-powered performance studios, 3D footwear scanner, and Ping's Ballnamic ball fitting kiosk ensure every piece of your gear is tailored to your swing. Trust the experts at the Hagen Oaks Golf Super Shop. Total game fitting starts here.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave. I got to tell you, I am so excited to get this decking project started with Trex Decking and Railings. From the first time I stepped foot in the showroom last week, I was so impressed. So many color options, heat-resistant composite deck. What does that mean? That means I don't have to do any maintenance on it whatsoever. They even have a deck designer, so you can go online and see what your dream deck will look like on your house. Just visit Trex, that's TREX.com to get it started. Tell them Carmichael Dave sent you.
Allen Stiles here with your Sacktown Sports Injury Report, brought to you by DTLA Law Group. Zach Geloff, out with that dislocated left shoulder, underwent successful surgery in Los Angeles in late September. Should be fully recovered and expected to return in 2026. Left-handed pitcher Sean Newcomb felt left elbow inflammation and unfortunately is out with the rest of the season after feeling tightness in his left elbow following his most recent outing. That was your Sacktown Sports Injury Report, brought to you by DTLA Law Group. Hey, I'm Allen Stiles. Injured at work? Call downtown. DTLA Law Group, California's leading injury law firm. With over 40 lawyers throughout California, they have won over $500 million in settlements. DTLA Law Group will get you compensation for your work injury. You don't pay unless they win. That's right. You pay zero up front. Call downtown. Text injury help to 40222. That's injury help to 40222. Visit them at calldowntown.com. Text charges may apply.
Allen Stiles. Watch the show on youtube.com/SacktownSports1140.
Or listen on the Sacktown Sports app.
It just doesn't get better for the Niners. And I was really excited. My in-laws are huge on football. And I was really excited to watch the Niners with them take on the Rams. But I don't even know if this is going to be a great game. And a lot of people, I don't think they believe that Mac Jones is better than Brock Purdy, but he's healthier than Brock Purdy, and maybe that gap is not as wide as some may think. It just depends. Mac Jones has looked pretty good in this offense with Kyle Shanahan. There was a rumor back in the day that the Niners wanted Mac Jones. They decided to go with Trey Lance instead, and you're going to get to see more Mac Jones. And the Niners have ruled out Brock Purdy with the toe, Ricky Pearsall, who's on my fantasy league. So here are my two, and I know nobody cares about other people's fantasy leagues, but this is a bad one, man. It always happens to me. My two wide receivers who are supposed to cook, and Ricky had been cooking, Ricky Pearsall and Jamar Chase. It's rough sledding.
That first pick curse.
That's rough sledding. So Brock Purdy's out, Ricky Pearsall's out, Juwan Jennings is out. What is going on with Juwan Jennings? He's just always dinged up.
Is this the shoulder or the ankle? Which one? Or the hamstring?
Ankle and ribs.
Ribs is a new one. Where did that come from?
What is going on with this brother?
Anyways, so
he wants all those incentives. He just tried to get all those incentives added to his contract, and he cannot play.
There's just so many different injuries. I can't keep track of which is which.
Mac Jones will start.
So anyways, I'm doing quick math here. So that's a starting lineup for Thursday Night Football of Mac Jones, Kendrick Bourne, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Sky Moore, Tonjes.
The Gage guy.
Yeah. Wait,
Russell Gage.
Is DeMarcus Robinson back yet?
I thought he was, but I
didn't see him.
I didn't see him. I'll tell you this much. It's getting ridiculous because look, my buddy in Prop Talk, we've been cooking lately. And I'll tell you what, I don't know what's going to happen as far as, I don't know where they're going to set the line for Christian McCaffrey all-purpose yards. His receiving yards have already been at 40 as a running back. Now, with no Ricky, they're going to have to set McCaffrey at about 60 receiving yards. And you know what? I'll take the over. I will take the over. They're not
going to do that to CMC, right? They're not just going to go screen every time.
Essentially, he's been killing them. And I think the Rams aren't going to allow that. I'd actually take the under because it's going to be in the 50s. I think the Rams are going to say, Gage, Sky Moore, Kendrick Bourne, who eats popcorn before games, you beat us. You're not beating us on Christian McCaffrey screens, whatever it is. I would take the under on Christian McCaffrey receiving.
I don't know, Alan. Did you know that Kendrick Bourne was Mac Jones' leading receiver the year the Patriots made the playoffs?
Yeah.
There's a difference between Kendrick Bourne to Brock Purdy and Kendrick Bourne to Mac Jones.
That's big. And I probably still wouldn't take the under on Christian McCaffrey because just for sheer volume. sheer volume. So
someone's going to have to do something.
Look, I know it's been confusing with Brock, and there's always arguments that Brock hasn't missed that much time per se, but with obviously the labrum and the elbow and everything that's gone down there, Brock is not a huge guy, all right? He is a girl dad, same with Christian McCaffrey, newly minted girl dad, so shout out to them. We got to stick together. But Brock is not far from it's not even about Brock as an actual quarterback. I feel like Brock, and this is the uncomfortable conversation, I feel like Brock is not far from that injury-prone convo, right? And it's weird because he hasn't missed a ton of time, but there's just always something going on with him.
It's always hard with quarterbacks to decide the injury proneness, right? Because it's usually like, oh, they took a hit and now they're out. Like, there's a few situations where the injuries are connected, but like Joe Burrow, for example, he's had 3 different season-ending injuries now. So it's not like it used to be with Stafford where it's like, oh, that back, you never know, or Andrew Luck's shoulder always was the problem for however many years. It's like Purdy's had like 3 different injuries now.
It's so weird because obviously everything goes down. When was that? In 2022 now? 2022, is that when he blew out the
elbow?
The elbow?
Well, it was the 2022 season, but it was January of 23.
Right, but the 2022 season,
Yeah.
So that happens. He's ready. That's when he goes off, and the Niners go to the Super Bowl, played 16 games, very healthy, right? And it's so weird because now in 2024, he only missed 2 games. He played 15 games, so I don't know why it feels like he's injury prone. He's already missed 2, or he's about to miss 2 going into this season, right? Because now they're 2-1 or 3-1.
The Niners are 3-1.
They're 3-1.
2-0 when he doesn't play.
Right, they're 3-1. He's about to miss his 3rd game.
Yes.
I know. Looking at this, the numbers don't make sense. But why does he feel injury prone-esque to me?
Well, because he's had 3 of his what? Well, actually, I guess let's phrase it this way. If you count his elbow recovery going into 2023 as a topic of conversation, his health has been part of the conversation literally every year of his career. Missed games at the end of last year, missing games this year. The beginning of 2023, we weren't sure if he was going to play with the elbow issue.
Right, but he only missed 2 games in 2024. It's just always, you know what? It's almost more so like he's always dinged up. And honestly, this isn't just a Brock thing. I feel like if we're doing the injury conversation, you know who I'm going to say. I think Joe Burrow's right there. I think Joe Burrow's higher on the list for injury prone.
Yeah, Joe Burrow, again, that's what I was kind of saying. It's tough because he's now had 3 season-ending injuries, but they're 3 completely different injuries.
Yeah.
Versus like Andrew Luck, who is the other example of like he retired early, but his career was derailed by shoulder. It was always his shoulder. This is a little different because it's like just random injuries that pop up.
It's just little dings, and now he's going on his 3rd game missed. I mean, that's not a good start to the season. And now hold on. It's different when you're Mr. Irrelevant, oh shucks, I like corn, and Iowa. Now you're getting paid $53 million a year. It's a little different now, and I get it. You can't control it. It's football, but now these little dinged up situations. You were playing with house money before. You are now no longer playing with house money, and he just got the contract, and now he's about to miss his 3rd game.
Yeah, because I think the bigger part of it is not Brock making the money. It is the 49ers don't have the depth of talent to make up for Trey Lance breaking his leg and Jimmy Garoppolo blowing out his arm, and then Brock Purdy coming in and leading them to the NFC Championship and the Super Bowl the next year, right? They don't have that margin for error they used to have.
And to be honest with you, if we're keeping it 1,000, he shouldn't have played against the Jaguars. That's why he's out. That's why he's out now.
Kind of what it's telling me is he probably shouldn't have been out there. But Mac Jones also has a PCL sprain, so I guess it's better than 70% of Mac Jones.
Yeah,
but now we're going with 70% of Mac Jones because apparently him, Pearsall, Jennings, Kittle, all out for the 49ers.
Yeah.
And those 2 offensive linemen that are done for the year.
Rough stuff. And look, maybe they make a call to Cleveland for Shedeur Sanders. I'm kidding, but I'm using it as a segue because I got to play this sound. I've never heard anything more ridiculous.
Senor Segue strikes again.
On a day where Shedeur doesn't want to get misquoted anymore, so he literally did a mime interview where he pretended like he was talking. You got to look it up during the break. He pretended like he was talking but said no words.
Damn, what a joke this guy is.
Yeah, said no words because he's sick of people twisting his words. Dillon Gabriel has been named the starter, and a 57-year-old Joe Flacco with 5 kids. We don't know what's going to happen with them. Go play catch with your kids, Joe. They're about to be ready to play right there next to you if you don't retire soon. This is what Emmanuel Acho had to say about the reports as far as Shedeur turning down a draft conversation or being drafted by the Eagles and Lamar Jackson. Here it is.
I hate this. The reason I hate this is because you just never know where your NFL life is going to take you. Ask Jalen Hurts. You draft Jalen Hurts, and he's drafted behind, I think, a 26, 27-year-old Carson Wentz. And now look at him, bro.
I totally disagree with you.
I feel like we're living in like a duality of worlds. Shedeur, if you're that confident and you got that much dog in you, go beat out Jalen Hurts. Obviously, you're not going to beat out Jalen Hurts, more obvious than not. But
I don't care how good Jalen Hurts was. If Carson Wentz was healthy and he was playing how he was playing, we would never know how great Jalen Hurts was.
That's why I'm just like, come on, bro. Beggars can't be choosers. And not that Shedeur Sanders is a beggar by any stretch of the imagination. But the NFL is a billion-dollar business. It is a privilege to be a part of the billion-dollar business. Shedeur can ask his older brother, Shiloh.
That might be one of the most ridiculous takes I've ever heard. Ever. Ever. We're talking like Shedeur's not on a team. I had to double check that Shedeur was on the Browns roster. He's on the Browns roster. So why are we having a conversation about Shedeur turning down going to the, checks notes, Super Bowl champion Eagles and Super Bowl MVP Jalen Hurts? Worth a lot of money, of course. And on the other side, turning down an opportunity to back up Lamar Jackson. Yeah, Lamar might be out for a couple weeks here, but this is Lamar's team. It's one of the craziest things I've ever heard. And now here we are, and that was LaShawn McCoy as well on their show Speakeasy. That was obviously Emmanuel Acho, and about a week or so ago, now here we are. They've moved on from Joe Flacco for the time being. Now Dillon Gabriel is going to be the QB, the starting QB for however long, because it is the Browns. And Shedeur is a couple bad starts away from actually getting an opportunity. One of the craziest thought processes I've ever heard when it comes to turning down other teams when he got drafted to a team with no actual quarterback. Insanity.
Well, a team that also drafted a quarterback before him that they were obviously going to give the first crack at it to.
But who you got to beat out? 87-year-old Joe Flacco, Dillon Gabriel, and who's unproven just like Shedeur, or Jalen Hurts or Lamar Jackson. It's even crazy for me to say out loud. Go beat out Jalen Hurts.
No, but you're waiting for one of those guys to get hurt. But I guess the counterpoint too, not to defend Acho, but it's just like, okay, you beat out Joe Flacco. Then what? You're set up to fail on a Browns team that's awful?
No, but then you see if you can figure things out. And you know that the Browns, they might look at things a little bit differently because of how things turned out with Baker. So maybe they try to learn from their mistakes. And I just remembered Deshaun Watson is still... Deshaun Watson is still around somewhere.
That's just more of a logistical thing. He's never going to play for them again.
So I just thought that was one of the craziest takes I've ever heard. Whitey Gleason joins us to close out the show. Don't move. More Allen Stiles coming up next.
I'm Scott Hansen, host of NFL Red Zone. Lowe's knows Sundays hit different when you earn them. We've got you covered with outdoor power equipment from Cobalt and everything you need to weatherproof your deck with Trex decking. Plus, with lawn care from Scott's and, of course, Pit Boss grills and accessories, you can get a home field advantage all season long. So get to Lowe's, get it done, and earn your Sunday. Lowe's, official partner of the NFL.
Progressive knows if you have to choose between everyday life and your boat, boat wins.
What are you going to do? Take the boat out for a spin or go mail something? Boat wins! Are we cleaning the patio or taking the boat out fishing? Boat wins! Are we skipping that eye exam to go sailing? Boat wins!
Rescheduling eye exams can be a nightmare.
All right, fine. Eye exam, then boat. Yeah!
With Progressive, you can bundle your boat with your home or auto and save with a discount and spend more time enjoying those savings on your boat. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states and situations.
When I was a kid, I remember my dad, a lineman, leaving in the middle of the night. Families were depending on him to get their power back on to keep them safe and warm. Watching him taught me that this work isn't just about wires and circuits. It's about people and the trust they place in us when the lights go out. That's why I started Maverick Electric Heating and Air, to carry on that same promise of showing up, doing it right, and protecting families when they need us most. Visit callamaverick.com.
Listen to the 49ers Red Zone Report daily, brought to you by Mountain Mike's Pizza, the official pizza of the 49ers. Mountain Mike's Pizza, pizza the way it ought to be.
For over 90 years, Hagen Oaks has partnered with the biggest brands in golf to bring cutting-edge technology to your game. Our one-of-a-kind total game fitting offers a level of experience and precision that is unmatched. From driver to putter, footwear to golf balls, our TrackMan-powered performance studios, 3D footwear scanner, and Ping's Ballnamic ball fitting kiosk ensure every piece of your gear is tailored to your swing. Trust the experts at the Hagen Oaks Golf Super Shop. Total game fitting starts here.
Mark and Tom, the travel guys with you, brought to you by Sports Leisure Vacations. Time for our weekly travel tip, and with it, here's Mark Hoffman.
So you don't want to pay the airline $30 or $40 to check your bag. I get that totally. So you pack a slightly oversized carry-on or even a full-size bag and bring it to the gate. Easy peasy. Now you just store it in the overhead, and when the plane lands at your destination, no baggage claim wait for you. You're zapping out of the airport. Except more and more people are doing the same thing. If you're flying on the cheap and have a high-numbered boarding group, the airline staff may start checking bags because of a lack of overhead space. On most airlines, there won't be a charge, but now you may have to go to the baggage claim anyway, unless the airline brings gate checks to the jetway. Most important thing, pack your carry-on like it's going to go in the belly of the plane, because it might. Nothing too fragile or breakable inside. Very important.
More tips to make you a smarter traveler every Saturday at 11 a.m. right here in Sacktown Sports 1140.
Allen Stiles. Watch the show on youtube.com/Sacktown Sports 1140.
Or listen on the Sacktown Sports app.
Kevin Michael Whitey Gleason.
Wow. Hey, I've been dying to.
Too.
Yeah, thank you, Alan. I've been dying to come in and talk about your NBA pace discussion. Seriously.
Oh,
because
okay.
I have a theory. You know, you were talking about, a lot of the really good teams play a pace, but so do some of the bad teams.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had a theory about that for years. I want to see what you think. Let's say you're coaching a basketball team, okay? And you're trying to win a game. And you know that the other team's way better than you. They know it. You know it. Your players know it.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to slow it down or speed it up?
You try to run them out the gym.
No. Wrong answer. You slow it down because that gives them less opportunity. Every trip down the floor is another chance for them to show how much better they are than you.
Okay.
So if they're better than you, you try to limit possessions.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm a bad team and I'm tanking and my team's not as good, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's run.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, to me, it's like covert tanking. Because you can say, this is how we want our young guys to play. And, you know, this is the style people like. But it actually increases your chances of getting your behind padded.
Right. And most of those five teams, they were young. They were young, too. Yeah.
No, I don't know if that's true, but I remember watching the Rockets before Ime Udoka got there, and I'd watch them. Why are they playing at pace? Oh, I know.
Yeah. They're not trying to win basketball
Yes.
games. But then the elite, not necessarily elite, because the Grizzlies, I don't think they're elite, but you did have the Nuggets in there, and you had the Thunder in there, of course.
Right. Then, if I'm OKC, I definitely want more possessions.
Right. And
I'm better.
The Grizzlies, the Thunder, the Pacers, the Nuggets, and the Cavs. So 4 elite teams and 1 good team in the Grizzlies. Yeah, that's interesting.
It's just a theory I have.
the other thing is, too, I said, and the Pistons were number 11, and they made the playoffs. The other thing, too, that I said was there's nobody on here, to your point, there's no veteran team that's top 10 that wasn't good, right? So the idea of if you know what you're doing and you can up your pace, that is a good thing.
Right.
Because all of the vet teams in the top 10 made the playoffs.
Yeah.
Is the easier way to put this. The teams that didn't make the playoffs are teams that are very bad. And I mean, and I said it with 5 out of 10, but the Hawks were right there. They should have been in the playoffs.
Yeah. The other thing, and I know you guys talked about this, and you played Coach Brown. Pace. For 3 years running, the Kings, they talk about playing at pace. They have not. They talk about it, but then you look at the numbers like, ooh, they're middle of the pack.
Yeah, 19th.
Yeah.
I do wonder. I was talking. We played the DeMar interview that we had, and I was talking to him about how the league is moving toward or being more open about you're not a star, go be 3-and-D. Everybody's 3-and-D unless you're a big or a star at this point, and all the wings. And he was saying, yeah, this is where the league is moving. I am very fascinated to see how this offense looks. Is it going to turn? Obviously, he's going to get in his office when he needs to get in his office. But DeMar knows so much about the game. I'm curious if he will be asked or if he volunteers to kind of alter it, or if there's just less DeMar in general, because that's not even how Scott Perry says he wants the game played. He had that famous quote during Summer League where he said we can't dribble the air out of the basketball. So I'm fascinated to see how this whole thing looks and if DeMar is able to alter, because he'd probably tell you, well, a lot of this was out of necessity.
I agree with you. Yeah, I think so.
So
there were times like we needed a bucket, nothing was happening, so I got us a bucket.
Right.
Maybe you didn't like the way I got it, but we needed one.
Right, and you have listeners to the show and listeners to the station and viewers of the station and obviously fans of the Kings that are DeMar's doing too much, and you got to a point where this is why we're talking about, this is why there's an emphasis on Keegan Murray, and now you have a point guard too in Dennis Schroeder, who they're very, very high on Dennis Schroeder, but this is what they're talking about with Keegan. They need Keegan, and we were playing something earlier. You need Keegan in the corner. I think this was Doug Christie, already thinking about shooting by the time he gets the ball. You don't get it, then you think about shooting. And that's the type of stuff where that's not what it was last season. So as much as some fans want to get on DeMar, and I just saw a text come through on our brand new text line about DeMar just cares about his stats. And I don't think that's the case. I think these brothers were just trying to survive last season. They had really no direction. The team got blown up after 30 games. De'Aaron Fox gets traded. I keep calling it a mulligan of a season. I don't know what that means for this season. I don't know that there'll be a parade at the end of the season, but I'm willing to at least see what it looks like.
Yeah, they had multiple seismic events that they had to go through last year.
Yeah. As far as and I can see you looking over me, your Padres, you're feeling good about them?
It's the Padres. How good can you feel? No. I'm glad they're up. I'm glad Manny went yard.
Yeah, and Bruce Bochy may be in the building for the Giants, but not as a manager. You think that's the right move to?
Yeah, and I think
good night
Bochy
on
knew
it?
that, but he just had to say, well, of course I'll talk to Buster, but I don't think he had any designs on being the skipper.
No, and I think it is the right move. Get him in the building. Dusty Baker's in the building.
Yes.
Everybody is
just
in the building.
Just talked to Dusty Friday.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right, you did. And I think that is the right move. Do you have anybody? I know you're a Padres guy, but
I really don't. It's a good question, but yeah, I've been thinking about who, and I don't have anybody yet where I feel like, ooh, that's the guy. Do you?
I like the idea of Skip Schumacher.
Yeah.
He's proven he did it in the NL. He did it with less of a payroll.
I thought you liked the college guy.
No, I love Tony Vitello. I love Tony Vitello, but I just don't know. We looked it up. The last time that happened, it was I believe it was 1970. Okay, Coach Hauser, he was a bench coach for the Yankees.
Dick Hauser?
Dick Hauser.
Wow.
Bench coach for the Yankees, did a year at Florida State, then came back and became manager for the Yankees. But that's not even the same because Tony Vitello doesn't even have, he was not on the bench anywhere. I'd bring him in to be a coach, but I'm telling you, Whitey, he's got a heck of a setup out there in Tennessee.
Yeah.
The ball flies out. They have the top recruiting class every season. Why would he leave?
Are you the one that said you wanted Gabe Kapler back? Was that you?
No. But I have always said that Gabe Kapler got a bad rap. I've always said that. You know, he's got a great jawline, and he talks about burgers and outside lands, and people just they weren't ready for him. But no, he can stay in Miami or wherever he's at. No, thank you. But Gabe, those 101 wins always got a place in my heart. You did see people talking about that, though. They said Gabe Kapler had whoever was on the team at that time, and they won 101 games, and Bob Melvin did
They won 107, didn't they?
I thought it was 101. Was it 107?
The Giants here?
Yeah.
No, it was 107.
Yeah, they won 100. They won more than any Giants team ever.
107.
Lost to the Dodgers.
Hold on. What year was that?
2021.
2021.
We got to read off
most
this.
in the San Francisco Giants history.
We got to read off this roster.
Lamont Wade.
Oh my goodness.
Brandon Belt.
Late night Lamont. Give me a break. Brandon Belt, of course. Let me see here. Oh yeah.
Buster and Crawford and
Joey Bart was still floating around. Wilmer Flores, Darren Ruff, Tommy LaStella.
Yeah.
My buddy texted me. He said, if you play second base, you can be Tommy LaStella. Evan Longoria, Alex Dickerson, Steven Duggar, Yastrzemski, of course, Donovan Solano, who, by the way, is still playing AAA somewhere.
Donnie Barrels.
I saw him at Sutter Health Park.
Mm-hmm.
So, look, shout out to Gabe Kapler, but
I think he's
we're
with
good.
Seattle, and I think they actually brought him up for a bit.
Solano?
I believe so.
Hey, get him a ring. get him a ring. So, yeah, crazy stuff. And the last thing, Whitey, the Niners, very confusing with Brock Purdy. I know we had discussed whether or not he's injury prone. He hasn't technically missed a lot of games, but it just feels like
He plays hurt a lot, yeah.
he plays hurt. He's going to miss his third game this season. He's been ruled out, if you're just now joining us, along with my fantasy wide receiver, Ricky Pearsall, and Juwan Jennings, who's just having a bizarre season. I know he got cracked on Sunday, but just having a bizarre season. Brock is about to miss his third game. He probably shouldn't have played against the Jaguars, and he's worth a lot of money now. You're going to look at him differently. And look, I've already said this is not a Brock Purdy thing. I think Joe Burrow is in the injury-prone conversation too.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know what the Niners do. Luckily, somebody said, man, if they didn't find a way to squeak out those victories at the beginning of the season, this would have been a complete nightmare.
Yep. You know what I'm really worried about tomorrow night, though, is my mother-in-law loves watching the 49ers. She doesn't have Amazon.
Oh.
So, yeah, I think she's going to be really disappointed. She loves watching the games, and it's like...
Just have her come over.
I don't know that she'll want to do that. We'll invite her. You're right. We'll invite her. She's down in the Bay.
Okay, my in-laws are in town too, but I do have Amazon.
Good.
They are not Niner fans though, and we'll see what the Niners can do against the Rams. It was a heck of a show today. Thank you to Brett Siegel for joining us. Thank you to all the callers, texters, Sack Chatters. Great job, Kyle, as always. The Drive Guys are coming up next. Whitey Gleason, Kyle Draper, Jay Johnson. Until tomorrow, secure the bag like the beat.
Keep talking pace. We got to keep playing fast, even faster than what.
Don't forget my podcast.
Gotta go.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does